afternoon, neighbor. How are you?
Morning, good afternoon. Have an
Good
interview at 3
afternoon.
o'clock. Have
And good
11 minutes.
afternoon. Good afternoon to your listeners. Neighbor, I was scrolling through TikTok early on and I come across a live with a regular TikToker. And you know what I get to find out, neighbor? This disaster that the country has had going 3 weeks now. You know that a lot of people, their only interest is to see the government fail, That's their only interest. It's like some Jamaican glad that the hurricane failed and they want the government to fail with his release, relief, with his aid, with the reconstruction and everything, just to give the People's National Party clout. And I'm saying that, there are so many Jamaican neighbors that are so unpatriotic, so unpatriotic. They believe that they can go on these social media and call out the government to act without take the necessary checks and balance. And so when if the government fall to what they want to do without crossing the T and dotting the I's, they will be the first one to come out and call out corruption and that the government need to resign. And that is what I see that is taking place here. Even the opposition want the government to act outside of protocol, and then now they will be the first one to call corruption and call for resignation. And it is so unfortunate, neighbor. Very unfortunate.
Yes. Yes, sir. The fact of the matter, John, is that partisan politics knows no boundaries, sir. And it is one of the things that has held Jamaica back. And which is why it is imperative and important that the government distinguishes itself at a time like this. Choose Jamaica is now to be embraced by the party that campaigned on Choose Jamaica. They need to embrace that, sir, because it is important for all of us to understand that the success of Jamaica is the success of all of us.
Yeah.
And the demise of Jamaica is the demise of all of us.
Yes.
But politicians are going to be politicians, and to the extent that they see an opening. I've been talking to KC about the politics of this all, and I hope that I will be able to talk to him this week to show that the next election is being crafted right here, sir. This is the campaign going on for the next election. I can tell you that the budget coming up next year March, will be dominated by expenditure for Hurricane Melissa.
Yes.
And the budget after that, and the one after that.
So for the next 10 years, neighbor.
Well, let's look at the election cycle in 5 years' time.
Yeah.
And I can tell you this: the government may come under so much pressure that it may be forced to call an early election. Okay?
Possible.
Go and read Gordon Robinson in the Gleaner today. Harry, you listen to Harry on this program?
No, I didn't get to hear him, never.
Well, Harry is a very bright young man that has been helping us to understand the financing section of the hurricane. Hold on for you back. You still there, John?
Yes, Dave, I'm still here.
Yeah, let me point out something to you. There is going to be a political price to pay, either for the government or for the opposition. I suspect, and this is my intuition, that Andrew Holness and his government is going to surprise Jamaica with a rapid, well-executed, commendable recovery. And as a result of that, his political stock is going to be raised. And I think that in that environment, Holness is going to capitalize on his popularity and go for and ask for a mandate. And I think when he does that, in the process of the rebuilding, he's going to decimate the PNP. That's my political instincts are initially telling me that. I'm not prophesying anything here. Akin to COVID, I also think that the opposition knows it. And that is why you see the opposition, they've been spending so much time in Westmoreland, because they're likely to lose ground down there, you know, because the people are going to see the response of the government.
Yeah.
And are likely to, you notice that George Wright and all these people are coming back out.
Yes.
You know, and I think they should, because the politics is going to get very interesting. The PNP's survival for the next term is based on Jamaica failing now. And you comrades need to just build. The fact is that we had a major catastrophe, Winston, John.
Yes, neighbor.
And the government has a responsibility to assist the people. Okay? And in its assisting of the people, it is going to get the political, kudos for it.
Yes.
And that may be translated into electoral support. Now, the PNP must, I wonder if I can find it, because I've written on this, the PNP must find a narrative to let the people feel that somehow either the response is slow or they are not getting enough. You see what I'm saying to you? And so they're laying that wicket through their surrogates on the ground and all of that. But mark my word, John Major, this is going to be a recovery that is going to surprise a lot of people. And Holness is going to get a lot of support, a lot of help, and the people are going to commend him. After you see the dust settle, this is a 9-day wonder. People are going to recognize that the government have this under control and that their lives are going to get back together. The economy is going to be bouncing back. Jamaica will return to growth, and people will say, wow, what a recovery. We must.
And as I see that you're up on 5 o'clock for your interview, just allow me 30 seconds. And as an independent thinker myself, neighbor, I share your sentiment 100%. I believe that by now and say March of next year, we will see the reconstruction start to take place. We will see the construction industry will go up, and so on and so forth. So I share that sentiment, neighbor. And I will just stay in the box and listen to the interview.
Fantastic. Great. All right. Okay. So, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So how is Portland? How is Portland?
Neighbor, Portland is green and lush. Very green and lush. Still have a lot of fruits and trees. You know, we are having some beautiful weather. Sunshine mixed with a little rainfall now and again. So Portland is very good, neighbor.
Not much damage?
No, neighbor, nothing much to speak about. Almost like in the interior of Portland, like in the Buff Bay Valley, you have one and few land slippages along the roadway and few downline, but nothing major.
How is Anne Marie?
Anne Marie's in the west, in the neighbor. Anne Marie's in the west, giving her support. Her foundation is down there assisting the people to the best of her ability. You know, I think she's more needed now in the west more than in the east at this time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And what about your reading of the government's response? How has it been?
Neighbor, let me tell you something. Maybe I can't find the right adjective to describe the government response and preparation to this disaster. It is phenomenal. Even Friday morning, I have to reach out to my member of parliament, Minister Vaz, and commend him on his and a job well done. I think Mr. Vaz is an outstanding cabinet minister, and his dedication and commitment to this hurricane relief is something to speak of. And I believe that, neighbor, that the Prime Minister have the full commitment of his government minister, and that they are doing a sterling job, and they need to be commended.
Yeah, true. Wilbur, George, hello. Good afternoon, sir.
I'm sorry, neighbor. I pressed it by mistake. Sorry. I'm listening to the program. Sorry.
You know, neighbor, let me tell you something. Now is not the time for any Jamaican at all should be wishing for the government to fail. Now is the time that we must come together as a people and as a nation and pick up the pieces and start to rebuild our country. The next election is due within the next 5 years. And many, as I said to you, many people are taking to the internet, neighbor, to sell negativity about Jamaica. And what they are trying to do, neighbor, is to tarnish the name of the country, and also try to sell to the international countries that the government of Jamaica is a failure and it is not trustworthy, and they must stop it. The PMP supporters know that if the international community rally with the Jamaican government and give them the financial support, that this government will carry out the reconstruction in a rapid time. And that's what the PMP don't want to happen.
Harry?
Yes, neighbor.
Harry, Gordon Robinson wrote an interesting article in today's paper. I'm going to read a little of it and ask you to comment, okay?
Sure.
For the next 2 years, Gordon Robinson said, the most important cabinet minister is likely to be the finance minister. Some might say that that's always so. Not really. When things are going well, finance minister only counts cash and allocates expenditures where needed. With a debt to GDP ratio hovering around 60%. Now, what is that, Harry? Our debt to GDP is about 60%. What does that mean?
Well, in essence, in the neighbor, it looks in terms of our productivity and our output as a nation, as a country, in layman's terms and in lesser terms.
Okay, so he said that there was a time, Harry, when the government took office, that it was 140, hovering about 140. So the government would have brought the debt to GDP from 140 to 60. I don't know what.
Yes, neighbor. In terms of overtime, over the period that they have been in government for the last 9 years, they would have brought that down, which is something every country should aspire to.
What does that mean? Why are you closing your mic?
I might have a little disturbance in and around because I'm not home just yet.
Okay. Oh, I just want to understand. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
So when the Holness administration came to power, we had a debt up to GDP of 140%. What does that mean?
So in terms of a high GDP, neighbor, means really and truly one in which the percentage of its gross domestic product, let's break it down for everybody, it really measures how the value, total value of our service and goods for that year. So it shows that a higher ratio indicate that it's actually more difficult really for us to repay our debts. The lower it is, it shows confidence in the economy and our output in repaying our debt. And at the current point, moving from over 140 to now just over 60 there shows how resilient and the strength of the economy over the last few years.
Doesn't it mean that of every $100 the government earns, it needs 140 to pay the debt?
In a sense, yes.
Which means it would have to borrow.
And that's something we've seen administrations have done a lot of in the past, which also then increases our debt. So really we're paying down debt, but we're borrowing, so we're taking up more debt.
So then when the administration took office, it had to be borrowing money just not only to run everything else in Jamaica, but to pay debt.
Right, so borrow to pay money that was borrowed. And it's not even a sense of saying we're refinancing. We're actually just trying to stay afloat, basically.
So the government couldn't fix one pothole in Jamaica without borrowing money?
Well, from what we've seen, technically, yes, neighbor. Because everything we had to do, everything we did had to borrow something.
Couldn't borrow one part of that in the hospital. Anyway, the Prime Minister announced, Gordon Robinson said, preliminary assessment of the value of the damage at US $7 billion. And Gordon Robinson said that's trouble. Yeah?
Hold on. Yeah. Hold on, I think you're breaking up from my end. Repeat the last part for me.
Who is the other caller I have there, Caroline?
Oh, so neighbor, that would have been Jay Carter, the person I said I would have gotten to give us a breakdown as to what it means and what it will cost to house those several thousand people in the hotel spaces.
Oh, can I go to him while you get to quieter space?
Yes, neighbor. So I'll be within about 5 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, great. What is his name?
That's Jaynard Carter.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Fantastic. How are you doing?
Pretty well, thank you.
You're pretty well. No, you, sir. There is a suggestion from some people that the government should probably host some of these the persons displaced in hotels. First of all, does the government own any hotel in Jamaica?
So, in all fairness, I've lived Jamaica for some time, but I do think the government of Jamaica still owns Cardiff Hotel and Spa. It's a government-owned property in Runaway Bay. The government owns that property through Heart Trust NTA. But apart from that,
It's a training hotel for training.
It is a hotel for training, but it also welcomes guests.
Okay. All right.
Separate
So
and-
then,
Mhm. No, separate and apart from that, most of the hotels and the resorts in Jamaica are privately owned. Most of the owners are overseas. Quite a lot of them are owned by the Spanish market.
Spanish market. Now, at this time, about what is the current occupancy of these hotels in Jamaica? Do you know?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure, but they are very low.
Well, that's the assumption. Quite of the hotels, since the hurricane, have closed their doors. Some of them are going to do complete renovations until next year they reopen. Other hotels have reopened for regular business. And so if the next question you're going to ask is if there's a capacity to host the people who are affected by the hurricane, then the properties in Jamaica are pretty huge. And yes, there is capacity. But
Yeah,
many
before you go to the capacity, so do you know about how many rooms we have on the island?
in total, no.
No, you don't know that. Okay, so the owners of these hotels, do you think that they would be open to hosting affected people?
Here's the thing. And so the government in the US, they do this when there are hurricanes through FEMA, which is the emergency management unit. I know in Jamaica there's ODPEM. So what would happen is persons who are affected would be encouraged to relocate from whatever area they are, even before the hurricane. And they're sometimes housed in hotels. Now, what I've seen is typically the low budget hotels that they typically take advantage of. And they are given almost like a per diem. So, for example, you stayed in the hotel for a month, because there have been people who've stayed in hotels for a month and even more, and your bill comes up to $5,000, then it's just a subsidy of that the government will pay. But I know that Jamaicans are looking for the government to house people in hotels and pay the entire bill, right? One, and then two, when it comes down to housing people in hotels, you have to look at a lot of things, like, for example, meals, food and beverage, and how would it work really? Is it two guests to a room? So if you have a family of 5, how does that work? So the logistics would have to work out. And I'm not sure Jamaica, have the hotels that cater to this type of need, in the sense that, for example, in other areas of the world, there are those what we call extended stays. Jamaica don't have extended stays. Jamaica's tourism sector is mostly resort type setting, and it's mostly all inclusive, and so there's no facilities, or there are no facilities in these hotel rooms for people who are doing extended stays.
Okay, now that suggestion though, that somehow government could put people in hotels, that suggestion in and of itself is not true, because the government don't have this capacity available to them. They would need to purchase the rooms.
They would need to purchase the rooms, yes. So the government don't own hotels that they could just say, oh, I own the Bahia Principe, you can come there and we'll give you a room each. No. The tourism minister and finance minister would then have to go in communication with the Hotel Royalton Bahia, for example, and say, this is our need. and then they'll have to work out, rates and stuff like that. And the way how the hotel business work, even though, we'd want to accommodate, hotels also don't want their ADR to drop. And
What
for
is that?
example,
What is ADR?
the average daily rate. So there's a lot of competition with hotels, right? And this is where pricing comes from for rooms. For example, so the hotel looks at the hotels that are next to them, and that is in what they call their their competitive set, and they price their rooms based on what is going on in their competitive set. And so if I own a hotel, I will not give up my 1,000 rooms at $100 per night, even though I know I'm helping out, because that won't make my property competitive. And it perhaps won't be able to pay my bills.
Okay, now let's say we have 500 people that are without housing, and the government need to get them into some space. How open you think the hotels would be to this type of arrangement?
It depends on the types of hotels. The smaller properties would perhaps welcome the idea, but the larger resorts, it may not be something that's feasible for them.
But why?
You're putting 500 persons in an all-inclusive resort. Just the sound of it, what comes to mind? You're putting 500 people, right? And let's say free, 500 people free in an all-inclusive resort. These 500 people are going to go there and they're going to expect an all-inclusive service, and they'll have to expect it because all they will have is just a bed with towels and a bathroom. In order for them to eat, they'll have to eat at the restaurant. You see what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
And then they're going to have pool at their advantage. They're going to have all of these amenities. So you're telling me what?
They can't be restricted. They can't be restricted.
Well, a lot of... I'm not sure that a lot of properties... Well, some properties perhaps do have the ability to restrict them. But again, you're talking to somebody in Spain who they're looking at, even if I give up 500 rooms and I'm collecting $100 per night, I'm at capacity, but I'm not making money because the rooms have to be cleaned. The toilets get clogged. So we need maintenance, we need employees. You see what I'm saying? And so, and again, the rooms have to be clean. Housekeeping is the biggest expense in any property. Housekeeping will make you bankrupt. Okay? And so the rooms have to be clean. And no, we cannot expect the people to clean the rooms for themselves because there are certain standards that even though they're staying there as a humanitarian means, that has to be upheld. Typically, in a hotel, if somebody's staying in there for a week, housekeeping needs to go in at least once or twice.
Yeah.
And then security, somebody said it in the chat, security, look at that, for example. Somebody said Baya did it and regretted it. So the hotels won't do this because then look at the damage that will happen to their properties. You see what I'm saying? So it can work, but I've seen it work for smaller properties, not the resorts.
And just add to it as well, Neighbour. Remember, we are approaching peak season. So a hotel, it's not good business to be giving significant discounts in a time when it is your most profitable period. And I don't know any business personnel who will see that as a good deal, even if you're doing a humanitarian deed.
Right, and most of it, so the smaller properties, the guest houses, the properties that are maybe 100 rooms or less, maybe they would do it because, the no brand properties, the ones that won't have they perhaps would not be at capacity, but for people situations like these.
Oh, so it's not as easy as people are thinking it, Jay. It's not that the government maybe does not have this idea, but they really don't have the it would require greater logistic to get that done. It's not something that
exactly.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it would. And for example, a lot of people are looking at the monies that the government, is getting, perhaps at the end of the period for putting up these, putting up the people who are, who needs the assistance now, the government might pay out the same $150 million back to the hotels.
In terms of the cost to do it?
In terms of the cost to do it, yes.
Because it's not something that would be even cheap.
Unless...
Even if discounted.
Exactly, even if discounted. So unless, a property is going to say, you know what, this is our way of giving back, right? For example, I watched a lot of videos when the hurricane was going on and even before the hurricane, and the Americans were complaining that the US Embassy says that they must stay where they are, they must stay in the hotel. And they were complaining that the hotels are charging them $200 and $190 and $250 per night. And they're like, we don't have any money. Oh, and this is the storm and river. So even in such a situation, the hotel is dropping their rates, because typically they're $400 or $500 per night. They're dropping their rates and they're saying, okay, we'll take $200. So even at $200, right, per night, and perhaps that's even before taxes, you're paying to put up 500 people, say 500 rooms. And then again, resorts don't charge by the room, they charge by the person.
Well, I think, sir, we take this one off the table then, eh? Not an option.
It is perhaps not an option. Well, it is an option, but you have to look at, for example, Airbnbs, guest houses, and smaller properties.
Yeah, the larger resorts are really going to try and see how they can own back their rooms. So
and how they can capitalize. And unfortunately, somebody said it in the chat, Jamaicans are not the most disciplined. And the fact that you're at a hotel, a lot of people are going to take advantage of that. And so even the cost after people have departed the property will is going to be a thing. And I'm sure the hotel is not going to bear that cost. That they're going to want to bill it to the government.
Okay. How do you see the response of the government so far, though, sir? How do you see it? Do you have a comment on that?
So here's the thing. I think a lot of us are unrealistic with our expectations, based on how we want to see the government respond. I think perhaps we think the government have a lot of money, or perhaps when we hear that aid is being given, we think it's a lot of money when it comes on to these things. And so we think that the government right now is in a position to go to Westmoreland or St. Elizabeth and just build houses and tell people, here's a key. That's what we think, and that's what we expect. That's what a lot of people expect, not understanding that it could never work that way, right? And the government, what they are prepared to do, I believe, is to offer, subsidies. I've heard talks about the NHT putting together maybe a loan package or something for people like that. and so it's not, it's, I think the government, and we talked about this at length the other day, I think the government's response in certain area for me was a little, I think it was a little too slow. But overall, I think the government is focused on the strategic redevelopment of the areas that are impacted.
Let's talk about too slow, really. When you say too slow, you mean from the time the storm blew to aid getting to the people was too slow?
So what I believe, and Harry can tell you, we had a long discussion on this the other day. What I believe, I think there needs to be more power, and not just power, more responsibility given to the local government. And when I say the local government, I'm talking about the municipalities, the parish councils. I think from what I've seen, a lot of people were waiting on a response from the Prime Minister's office, right? Or from the central government to come down and do things. My belief is the parish councils should have been equipped and should have planned, should have had plans.
Who said they were not equipped and had no plan,
Well, based on what I've seen from videos and based on what I've heard other people say, it doesn't appear that way. For example, where I was going is, if it is that these plans were, for example, the clearing of the roads and stuff like that after the hurricane, that took some time.
But it would reasonably have to take some time.
Why?
Because to clear a road 10 miles down the road means that you have to clear the mile first. So you have to clear as you go along. You can't use helicopters to clear roads, sir. You have to use man. And if
I'm cognizant of the fact that we cannot use helicopters to clear road. I've watched a video from the Prime Minister of Jamaica speaking with one man who is the contractor with a backhoe or whatever the type of machinery is. And basically, the conversation is like, oh, so you are the person the NWA hires to clear the road, and basically asking people to be patient because it's just him and it's a lot to do. So from that video alone, I am commenting and I am saying, I don't think enough preparations were done.
But
yes, that man was out.
How can you prepare for something you have never experienced before? I don't think
we've experienced hurricanes. We've experienced hurricanes all the time.
We have never experienced a Cat 6, sir.
Category 5.
6.
Perhaps I'm misinformed. I thought Melissa was a Category 5 hurricane.
Well, no, sir. They said it exceeded Category 5 strength. So although it stops at 5, it was more than a 5. The thing is, though, that to be fair, you can't plan for something you'd never experienced. There was no one in Jamaica that expected the damage that is now being seen across the island, especially out in the west. No.
I understand that. But what contingencies were put in place? What plans were there? So I want you, and as I've said the last time, I am not related to any political party, okay? I'm speaking as somebody neutral and just looking at what's happening. And I believe, so let's go back to hotels. And this was an example I used in the last conversation I've had on the matter. Let's go back to hotels, for example. You notice a lot of hotels have reopened. Yes. And a lot of them had reopened even before. Like 2 days after, 3 days after. You know why? Because they have their plans, they have their SOPs in place. And once it's hurricane season, they start having meetings and they start planning.
Sir, I fully understand what you're saying, but I want us to be fair in terms of expectations. This country is a small developing country with limited resources and structures to respond. The Disaster Risk Management Act, parish councils, there are no FEMAs. Jamaica don't have a FEMA. Our disaster preparedness office is not FEMA. We don't have helicopters available. We don't have boats. We don't have an army of engineers in the thousands that can respond to disasters as America does. And I want you to appreciate, sir, that within the constraints of our capacity, I would argue that the response was adequate. I mean, there are things that we can review going forward. But when I heard the Minister of Local Government, for example, at the first press conference, saying that St. Elizabeth is underwater, I mean, the minister wasn't prepared to manage an entire parish underwater, sir. An entire 40% of the country totally devastated, 50,000 homes losing their roofs. That was not expected, sir.
I get it, but I think perhaps
Go ahead.
as I've mentioned before in a previous conversation, yes, Jamaica did not anticipate did not anticipate what Melissa would have done. All right, all of us can agree on that. Now, you said that Jamaica don't have, and I think I hear people saying Jamaica don't have the resources. Well, Melissa is now, or should now be like a learning curve. Like in the event something like this should happen again, I'm saying Jamaica should be prepared. It means that even if you have to start recruiting more for the army or those emergency response departments, teams, because again, in my opinion, I don't think again the response was fast enough.
Well, I don't agree. The country, you know, sir, was preparing for this hurricane long time. That's why we took out layers of insurance for this very day. But even with that, sir, do you realize a $7 billion US damage to a country that only took out 25 billion dollars disaster insurance? Jay, the catastrophe is enormous. The damage is enormous, and the scale of it is almost overwhelming. I think that I have seen first world countries struggle to respond. I remember one time in America, and they are the wealthiest country in the world. The size of the American economy is about 3 times that of China. And look how big China's economy is. And they would struggle. Had this hurricane hit Florida, the response wouldn't have been any quicker, you know, sir, with the greatest of respect.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just the enormity of the damage done. I was in Trelawney, for example, last Sunday, or the Sunday before, and I was very impressed with what I see happening. JPS has restored close to 80% of the island. The cell companies are doing their best. Sir. It requires a lot more appreciation of the task and the resources that are available to the government in order to respond. What do you think?
Well, I'll yield to Harold on for the remainder of the conversation. I think perhaps we're all missing the central point. So, yeah.
Okay, well, I think the central point is that Jamaica experienced a Cat 5 beyond, to be technically correct, a Category 5 hurricane. Now, the people at the International Met Service saying this is more than a Cat 5. Jamaica never experienced anything like this. So no matter how you plan, it would have blown your plans out of the waters. And I believe, sir, with all sincerity, that the government would have to take its time while it is responding to assess what really hit us, because I'll know, every person that has gone into the West have come back shocked. People have said it was almost like an atomic bomb dropped down there, the scale of the damage. And I believe that under those circumstances, we have to be patient and really understand that even psychologically, we would really not even have been prepared for what has happened here. Harry, I'm coming to you. I want to thank you, sir. Don't move. Coming right back up to Harry. I want to get to the article written by Gordon Robinson in today's Gleaner, and see if we can get a 7 billion United States dollar. Gordon Robinson is saying that's trouble. It's a lot of money, Harry.
Definitely, Neighbour. Remember we did the figure, all right? Just over, I know the dollar would have moved, so just over 1.28 trillion Jamaican dollars as it stands.
And when you say 1.28 trillion United States dollar, how much money?
Neighbour?
I am hearing you. Yes, that is the total budget for the year for Jamaica. About that.
Right.
Okay, so in 2024, the GDP was 19.93 billion. So in the unlikely event we get lucky and the damage ends up at about 6 billion instead of 7, Gordon Robinson is saying that's over 30% of our GDP, Harry.
And that would have shown, when I put it in the context, the magnitude of what we're dealing with for just our recovery, not taking into consideration that we still have a country to run, Neighbour.
No, he says that the government had 5.3 billion in contingency. Now, this money, Harry, is not in a savings account. No.
And again, Neighbour, based on the amount and what we're dealing with, it's not even a drop in the bucket right now. It's like a raindrop in the ocean.
Where is this 5.3 billion?
So it's just funds in terms of for the contingency based on how the government sees fit for the disaster, how they can spend it out. But it's spun over different different institutions, and it's not money that is really put down in an account per se. Some of it is also some level of projections based on the returns that we should have been getting as a country. Right?
So then it doesn't have 5.3
you have aspect based on what the government would have set out and read a budget. They should be getting certain returns, whether it be taxation, indirect taxing, and so on. But we haven't completed the cycle just yet. So the full essence of that money is still not even there.
1 billion National Disaster Reserve Fund. Where is that money? What is that?
So the reserve fund overall, neighbor, I want to get it right for persons to ensure that I can give them the exact figures as well. So with it, it also handles the overall risk management for us, right? Let me see if I find this one here, because I don't want to misquote anything as well, because I know I had it up here as well. All right, let me see if I have it here. All right, not seeing it coming up from my end. Let me see if I find it back.
Okay. Okay, we can move on from that, Harry.
Yeah.
2 insurance policies with the Caribbean catastrophic insurance, 91.6 and 37.7 million. That's different from the 150.
That would be the Cliff one.
Right.
The Cliff insurance.
Right.
Hold on, I think you're breaking up from my end. Let me see if I get a better connection here, neighbor. All right, so I heard you mentioned the Cliff insurance. That's one. What's the other?
Yeah, so I'm saying to you that's 91.6 million and 37. So that's about 130 million from the Cliff bond.
Right, 130 million. Right.
US
dollar.
Yes. And then the catastrophe insurance is 150 million.
So all of that together would have roughly 30 billion Jamaican dollars, given our overall estimation between the cat bond, the Cliff insurance, what they would have also budgeted, the 5.5 as well. So roughly around 30 to 31 billion.
Okay, so all of these layers, Harry, you have 5 of them here. Adds up to about 320 million. How much Jamaican dollars is that?
So for the, let me give it. So we're looking at approximately, in terms of Jamaican dollars, 51.3 billion.
Okay, so when we have drawn down everything that we have, all we have is 51 billion.
Right. Going up against a $1.23 trillion recovery.
So we are 5.6.
Right. And even able.
Okay.
Right. Even with people saying, oh, we're getting money from other places and the thing that government would have set up to get funds, that still doesn't equate to anything, not even 20% of what we need for the recovery. So for those persons who are saying, oh, the government have money, fine, money is there. Let's be generous. Let's say we have $60 billion, neighbor, right? But 60 billion compared to what is needed. These persons are never ever putting it into context, and as such, this is how misinformation is provided, how disinformation as well, because people see this money and in isolation. Yeah, man, $60 billion, enough money, but to what?
Yeah. So as Gordon Robinson is pointing out, in today's Gleaner, we really barely scratch the surface with all of this money in terms of the extent of the damage. So the people who are out there talking about the government have money, Harry, really not looking at the figures.
No, and remember, and this is why we have these conversations to have a holistic discussion. You can't look at money in isolation when you're dealing with a country, because remember, we also have to deal with the various ministries who will be coming, neighbor, with recovery amounts that they do need, and some things are also going to be continuous. It won't be where we just throw the money and it will just cover everything. It cannot. And I used the example as a joke the other day, but especially the opposition right now, we can't just operate like we're up a taboo. We can't just throw money out, neighbor, because the little that we have to be directed strategically. And if persons are saying, oh, government are move slow to start the things, yes. When you're doing a plan, and I don't want to play on words when I say doing a draft, right? We're dealing with something we've never seen before. So it's a state where we're laying the tracks as we go, but we also have to ensure that the most needed areas are targeted first, or else we're going to have an overrun and we already don't have no money.
Okay, so Gordon Robinson asks, where will we get 31% of GDP come from? He says, face it, Jamaica will have to borrow that money from international lenders. So brace yourself for the heady whine of the 60% debt to GDP ratio turning back into water and climbing to 90% or so very soon. Is Gordon Robinson correct that we are going to have to forget this 60% of GDP and borrow money, Harry?
We will have to borrow, neighbor, right? Because there's so much and so little that the rest of the world can do in aiding us, right? But we have to now look at how we redevelop. I mean, we can look at the multilateral development banks. Of course, we know the IMF has come to our aid, saying that, hey, we are coming to you now to lend if you want to, if you need it. Now, a lot of persons, when they hear of IMF, it leaves a bitter taste in their mouth because of how history would have painted it extremely bad. But that is one institution that we may have to explore. And if we're getting favorable rates, remember, IMF don't just go around the world and offer favorable rates to no country. And that brings us back to how beautiful that NIR is. That gives us the leverage for people, to institutions, actually see the importance of lending us money at a lower rate than they would with other countries because of how resilient and what we have in the pipeline through that NIR, that buffer and protection.
Gordon Robinson is saying that relief and recovery will not come from economic growth because you are expecting a slowdown in your economic growth. We're going to have to probably see a supplementary budget coming soon, Harry, with government expenditures having to cut. Do you expect that?
Realistically, yes, neighbor. Realistically, yes. After
okay, we out Harry. Harry has to close his microphone.
Oh, hear me, neighbor? Right. So I was saying it is a realistic expectation. That is something any well-thinking person should anticipate. When we look at it as well, when the government moves around, Minister of Finance moves around money, whatever programs may have to be pushed back, cancelled, we'll then see the real financial amount that we do need to go, and we can't get it through the organic growth because we're not up and running. And if we were up and running, we wouldn't need the money. So we can't expect to get to that level. So we have to borrow. And again, assessment, I know people don't like to hear the word, but an assessment has to be done, not just on the ground, but also to see what lending partners are better for us and how much we really need to take from other areas. So not because we know the damage is approximately $1.2 trillion, that means we're just going to borrow from every and anybody. we have to do some serious assessment, because whatever the government does going forward when we borrow will impact how we as the citizens live our day-to-day lives.
And then he's ending the article by saying that the only way to avoid these perilous possibilities is inclusion. He is demanding inclusion, and he says that we must understand that the time for petty politics or premature calls for impossible, we can't do that. Do you see the government and the opposition coming together over the next couple of weeks to craft a plan that both parties can agree on, Harry, in terms of even budgetary allocations? Do you see that?
Well, the opposition has painted the picture rather clearly, Neighbour, that they won't be working with the government. So I don't know which Jamaica they're drafting plans for, but from the article, we won't see that inclusion happening, in all honesty. Not that it's not something we need, it's not something we want, it's a need at this moment. But the opposition has shown their colors, and we just have to take it for what it is and work with those who are working with us, Neighbour. That's just the reality, that's just the plain truth.
All right. Hold on there for me here, Harry. Hold on, please. Give me a little while. Okay. I don't know if we can go beyond 6 o'clock, Caroline, we're out of time, I didn't even again, John.
Yes, neighbor. As I listen to Harry here, neighbor, I just wanted to say that the PNP do not want any inclusion in anything at all that this government is doing, because the PNP is so desperate for power that they want to capitalize on the destruction that the country is presently facing, right? And so therefore the government have to be very careful and very strategic in the way how they go about and allocated fund. Because what we must remember, remember that the teachers are still up in arm with the government demanding an increase. Remember that the other public sector workers also are demanding increase. And so the government, while the government will be focusing on the disaster that the country is facing and to get the economy back on track, the other arms of government have to be taken care of. So there is no much room for the government to maneuver. You understand? One of the next thing, the point I wanted to make, even to the other gentleman that was on, that we have to be careful of. With the $6.1 billion that we have in the reserve, it is a buffer. It is a buffer against our dollar. And so therefore, if we started to spend this fund carelessly and reduce this fund significantly, it's gonna be a run on the dollar, which is gonna create inflation. A matter of fact, hyperinflation. It will also set up the wrong signal in the international community, and then business confidence is going to go down, and all of these things. Possible, maybe all the $1 billion money crop investment maybe go back and pause.
Do you think that the government
this money carelessly?
But do you think the government needs to have a conversation with the Jamaican people?
Yes, neighbor. Yes, neighbor. There's an address to the nation is needed. In this week here, address to the nation is needed. The government, the prime minister need to have at least an hour to speak with the people. The finance minister also need to have at least an half hour in that program to explain the rationale to the Jamaican people.
I haven't seen her at the press conference. I think she should be there. Why not?
Yes, man, she should be there explaining, because let me tell you something, neighbor. Jamaica is a society, where many of us are economically dunce in the neighbor. We don't understand the implication of our country economy have to delicately balance, if we start to spend this NIR carelessly, neighbor, we will not become attractive anymore to foreign investors, and those investment that already line up maybe go and pause, because if we do not have enough NIR, it is going to send the wrong signal to the international community. So
But hear me, the government seem to be in a bind, you know, because in one breath, you tell the people the truth, they feel anxious, they get scared, and they turn against you. You withhold the truth from them, you leave them open to misinformation.
Yes.
What is the government to do?
And then another problem that we are having, neighbor, in this country, the trust factor is very low.
Yes.
I saw a person write in the comment earlier on that politicians must take a cut in their pay, not knowing that there's a law that governs the increase in politician pay. If the politician is going to take a cut in his salary, most likely the permanent secretary them have to take a cut in their salary as well, because there's a law that governs that if the permanent secretary is getting X, the minister must get X plus 1.
I think it's $1, sir.
Yeah, $1. So that's why I say X plus 1.
Mm-hmm.
So if the politician take a 15, if the minister then take a 15% reduction in their salary, maybe the government have to ask the permanent secretary them as well to do the same. Or
By the way,
people are patriotic to do that.
Yeah, I think the press conferences will need to start having a conversation with the Jamaican people to get us to understand that some of our expectations will have to be lowered, Winston, and to outline the vastness of the disaster and what the options are for the government. You have to bring the people along with you. I think it's appropriate. Yeah.
And neighbor, and that's why I would love for you in this coming week here, neighbor, if you could get some economists, maybe an economist from out of the university can come on the program and explain the rationale, explain the implication and all of these things, so the Jamaican people can be more aware. Because as I say, neighbor, there's a very, very low trust factor in the society. Everybody does see them politicians as criminal, not knowing that ministers of government don't handle money.
There are restrictions and restraints, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, that is true. And Winston, there is also ignorance, where a lot of people don't even understand the role of government and how government functions. They don't know.
Never. And they don't read to understand. Even that article that Gordon Robinson wrote. Because I was an ardent reader after Sunday Gleaner, neighbor. I disposed of it some years ago because the newspaper becomes rubbish, really. But Gordon Robinson is still a good writer. I always look forward to his article on a Sunday. And many Jamaicans will not read that article and pause for a minute and think about the rationale in a neighbor.
Yes, and the fact of the matter is that I when I saw it today, sir, and I saw how he outlined the problems, and at the end of it, he is suggesting that if we don't come together as a nation at this point, John, that the road ahead is going to be tough. But
very tough,
yeah.
neighbor. And that's why the PNP pull out of the Giant Select Committee, because what happened, neighbor? They want to capitalize on this because they know that the road ahead is very tough. And so therefore, if the government act on impulse, neighbor, because the people are desperate, a lot of people are to be reached, right? And if the government ever make a mistake and act on impulse and don't cross all the T's and dot all the I's and follow all the laws that set out, the PNP will be the first one and those in journalism to call out that the government is corrupt and bring down the government. So that is what the PNP is lining up themselves for.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Hold on there. For me. Winston.
Good evening, Scratchy.
Blessed evening, John. Blessed Harry, the viewers, Neighbour, Caroline, everyone, big up.
That's good.
Prachi,
Yes, Neighbour.
do you think the people of Jamaica are appraised of the magnitude of the challenges that are confronting the nation at a time like this? We have splintering, we have people running up their mouth, we have people talking about, I hear a little boy talking about hello neighbor, the government not to build a house and give people scratch because government have the money. Do you think that we are au fait? Do you think we have the information in which to inform ourselves, Scratch?
I mean, definitely, neighbor, the information is out there, neighbor. But information is something, neighbor, that persons can skew information and persons can do whatever they want to do with the information. If they put out the information, neighbor, it's not like the information is going to automatically drop in someone's brain and they understand it, neighbor. It is up to that specific person now. Oh, they read into the information that put out there. A lot of these persons don't want to read into the information to what the information is, neighbor. They have been spread a different information from someone who they might have trust or more faith in, so they tend to believe what other person is saying instead of what is coming out of government. So when I look at information, neighbor, I look at information different, neighbor. I think what we are doing is we are doing a response, neighbor, to these things. And I think we need to be from a more preventative level. If you have to continue to respond to things, neighbor, you're gonna always be chasing and you're gonna always look like you're the one behind because you're responding. I think we need more preventative measures. Maybe we need to be more preventative. That's what I always say. I don't like the whole thing sometimes when we approach these things, neighbor. There's not a lot of things that we do, neighbor. We are more responsive. There's no preventative measures for things. So for the propaganda and what is said, neighbor, once it is already said, it is out there. What we need to do now is move forward to finding out ways how we can prevent these things from being said. Because someone come and say this or that, it's already gone out there. Persons now decide what they want to do with it. Persons that break it down and decide if you want to take on tweet or not. We need preventative measures. How can we prevent persons from saying these things? How can we prevent someone from just coming on social media and talking all type of thing? So that is where the problem is, neighbor. Preventative measures, not responding. No matter how someone put out something negative and you come and respond, the negative is already out there. How you going to know who win? How you going to judge who believe more than who? How we going to know who believe the negative more than the positive will come from the government side? There's no meter there to judge it unless it's election day. The only meter that we can use and judge it. But other than that, neighbor, we need preventative measures more. We need to move to prevent and stop respond. When they respond, it look like you're trailing in there behind. That's what
you don't think that we need a public relations campaign to get our people to understand what has happened, how we are responding, and some projections in terms of what timelines are on the response. So to settle the anxiety in many people, Scratchy, because for example, the man who does not have a roof over his head tonight, is he aware of when? Does he know when he'll get some help, or he's just there waiting?
No, based on what is going on right now, he doesn't know, neighbor. That's why in situations like these, neighbor, I talk to you sometime in private and I told you that, neighbor, in a disaster like this, neighbor, it would be wise if government, neighbor, is in an operational mode where government is more moving from a top level in terms of policies and programs, neighbor. In times like these, neighbor, we need technocrats. People need to be hearing from technocrats because we understand, neighbor, yes, well, we know the politicking and everybody want the glory and the hype, but already we're the government. So where we know that yes, we're the governing party, neighbor, and I think it needs to be set on.
No. Put in a basket in a bathroom.
John? Yeah, neighbor, that's we're the governing party, neighbor, and I think in situations like this, neighbor, disasters like these, neighbor, we need to hear more. We need to make the technocrats take a little, come up a little, neighbor. I like how Daryl Vaz deal with it, neighbor, when he with the JPS person, neighbor. So it's not Daryl Vaz, it's not no time, neighbor, if anything to sugar wrong, neighbor. The country is not gonna blame Daryl Vaz. because we're directly hearing from the head of JPS, neighbor. So you hear JPS. So you notice the government not getting no blame towards JPS, because we push up someone from JPS to show like that. Show you say this is the technocrat from JPS. So I think that is what we need, neighbor. With NWA, we need to hear from the head of NWA. We need to hear more from the head of National Solid Waste Agency. Let the technocrats who are leading these agency, neighbors, be the mouthpiece in this time. And government now, neighbor, have a more backbench approach. I don't say a full backbench, still a lead in the initiative and I take control, yes. But we're working on the policies and the program part of it, neighbor. Because in time like this, neighbor, we live in a country where politicians, neighbor, people don't trust politicians, neighbor. A lot of things are coming in and it's misinformation. People say government a thief, this government a thief, that. I think politicians, neighbor, we need to understand that. Yes, we're the governing party. I don't have no problem. I have the trust and faith in my party. I don't believe that anyone of them have any crooked and they are a thief. But let the people hear from the technocrats so that some of the blames can be shouldered on these persons. Shoulder, you cannot be the minister and you take all of the blame. Some of the blame must be put on the technocrats. And them are go out there, them have the skill to go do it. We hire these people, we pay them big salary. Politicians need to let these guys take the front. And I have to applaud Mr. Vaz. I love when he push up the man from JPS. I love when I push them up. That's what I want to hear from. Anything that you notice, neighbor? There's no blame being put towards government in regards to JPS because JPS is a face of them own. The Jamaica government is not talking on behalf of JPS. And that is what I need to see with the NWA. I want to see the head of NWA. I want to see the head of the National Water Commission. These are the technocrats that I want to see. I want to see my minister call them up and say we're going to hear from this person and that person. Those are the persons where blame should be a shoulder and neighbor.
I cannot be more in agreement with you, Scratchy. I think you deserve a beer. Believe you me. I cannot be in a more agreement with you. At these press conference, when water minister is there, we need the head of water, the water ministry. We need the head at the end of it. Why is EC Hunter so silent since this hurricane? He's the head of the National Work Agency. He need to be at this press conference and informing the people what are the plans going forward. When some of these corridor will be clear. So you are absolutely correct.
I definitely believe so. When government do these things, they're in a disaster, neighbor. Government compromise themselves, neighbor. Politicians compromise themselves in these disaster unwillingly. Compromise themselves because of the role where they take up and the attention where they take up. Let the technocrats talk. Yes, see, we are here from the head of ADPEM. Let the technocrats take the lead role in this. We meet in our cabinets and we plan our way forward and we give the directive. But the technocrats are the forefront who are coming and talking to the nation. Make the nation see them and that so that these persons can also shoulder the blame. Too many politicians suffer politicians take too much blame for some things where it's just because they're too up sometimes. Media just want to be a part of the media too much sometimes. So that's why politicians get blamed so easily. Yeah. Let the technocrats take the forefront of this operation.
You know, early on today, I hear a lady, one very popular TikToker, cussing out the government that females is in shelter and have female napkin to deal with their monthly cycle. And I am saying, oh my goodness, then are this government to prepare for and provided for? And I'm saying, so what about the responsibility of the individual? The individual now have no responsibility for themselves. You understand? So we have a freeness mentality, like we don't know, say, every individual of the 2.8 million of us are a part of the government, right? We are the broader government. Those who make the decision are just the executive, right? And it is the resources. We give them a mandate to make policies and to manage the resources that are available. And we are behaving like we are a rich country. We got billions of dollars lying around the place, so government can spend the money and take care of everybody and give everybody a brand new house. Where is it going to come from? And we cannot afford to put back ourselves in a debt trap from where we are coming from.
No, Scratchy.
Yes, neighbor.
Scratchy, the Prime Minister is back from COP, right?
Yes.
Okay. And of course the Prime Minister will go to Parliament on on Tuesday.
Tuesday. Yes.
What are you expecting? How you expect the Prime Minister to shift the conversation towards the recovery process, Scratchy? What is to be expected from the Prime Minister on Tuesday?
Neighbor, I'm definitely expecting some further update, neighbor, from the Prime Minister. In terms of definitely, neighbor, we have seen where we're at a distribution level in terms of the aid. We see where the aid is going in terms of the food that is being distributed now, neighbor. We see now, neighbor, where it's time now for us to move away. Not from, and I said move away from that phase, not stop handing out the aid. Yes, the aid is still have to become, but we have to move from that phase now, neighbor. Get a grip. We're supposed to have a full understanding of that phase now. Move towards a clean-up phase. I hear about, so I expect that some form of cleaning up is already going on down here in the citizens, private citizens part, neighbor. I'm expecting to come and speak more, neighbor, about the massive cleanup plan that is being, the operation that is being planned. I'm expecting to hear more about that, how it will be done and stuff like that across the parishes. I'm expecting that, neighbor. And I'm also expecting, neighbor, to hear something about housing, because a lot of persons are very concerned going forward as you know what are the plans. I think the reason why the Prime Minister has not come out and have a national address yet is because of things that are still being finalized, neighbor. There are certain things that are still not finalized as yet. So I don't think the Prime Minister want to come with a national broadcast, neighbor, and it is not as broad than whatever he can come to the Parliament with. So I think that he would definitely is working on that, neighbor, and he's definitely going to come and address us. And I share your sentiments, neighbor. I definitely believe that the persons, they need to know what is going on. They need some form of information. They need some form of directive, because these persons, neighbor, we don't want to believe it or not, neighbor. They are looking for a directive, neighbor. They are there sitting down and wondering what is going to come next, what is the next big deal, what is the next big argument that is coming out of government. So I expect, neighbor, the Prime Minister that these persons will get a better understanding of what is going on Tuesday when the Prime Minister returns to Parliament.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I think that needs to happen.
Hold on, John. I've heard some sad stories captured on camera coming out of the disaster areas of people's conditions. Bad, Scratchy, some especially women. Scratchy, when these things hit the media, it is emotive, Scratchy. People's emotions stir, and they inevitably blame the government. How are we going to ensure, Scratchy, that the response to these people, or the response is of such that we, I don't know. I'm struggling to form the question. Because
I understand what you're saying, neighbor, that, and I want persons to understand, neighbor, that there are certain things, neighbor, that are born out of crisis, neighbor. These things are not just unique to our own situation down here in Jamaica, neighbor.
Yes, Scratchy. That is the general statement that I and you know. But the man who is looking political fodder, the one who is interested in spreading misinformation and falsehood, a little too Scratchy. I hear people saying they are still hungry. Is that true?
I couldn't share us to the extent, neighbor. I couldn't come and tell you that someone is not hungry, neighbor. As I say, neighbor, I understand how these things go, neighbor. I understand logistics, neighbor. I understand planning, neighbor. I understand the government is currently right now feeding over 300,000 people, neighbor. Is it possible that one person or two or three or four or five might be left out? Of course it is possible. But when I see these cases, neighbor, if I see a situation where one person should highlight their situation and say that they don't have this or they don't have that, I am not one to just run and judge or to blame, neighbor, because I look at the scale. Is it being done on a wide scale level? Is this just a one case scenario where it's just this person going through that situation? And this is the reason why a person have to understand, neighbor. The government was very much aware, neighbor, that it is possible, neighbor, that during this distribution, neighbor, persons might be left out based on different reasons. Persons might because they can't walk or a disability, based on a person's geographic area they might be at the time. Persons might not be home at the time in time the aid come to neither, and they're not going to explain these things. I said the reason why I wasn't home, I was somewhere else. I went to look for somebody, and when they come out, persons not explain these things, but we understand these things, neighbor. But what we want to push and tell persons are, This is the reason why all of you in this disaster area, all of your member of parliament is given $10 million. This is what they have the $10 million for. So when time you feel like you don't get something, you can call upon these member of parliament. Now, neighbor, it is up to these member of parliaments now, neighbor. We put in a coordinated plan where they can be reached by the citizens of their respective constituencies in times like this. It is an emergency fund, the $10 million that you get. It is for the persons who might don't get something at a particular time. And it can be many different reasons why a person get neighbor. And the reason and the fault why someone don't get neighbor, it might not be the government fault. It might not be at fault, because if I say I'm coming here 1 o'clock to give out certain packages and I come at 1 o'clock and you were somewhere at 1 o'clock, you can't blame the government and say the government come in and get nothing to eat. We must explain in context why they don't get nothing to eat. Stop coming and say up to know you don't get nothing. So,
Yeah, I see one of the major network broadcasting something. So the Prime Minister come here so and him not come down here so. As if the Prime Minister is omniscient and he is to be everywhere, like him can land everywhere. Scratchy, these negative stories must be contextualized and brought into somehow. Scratchy, I think we have to go into these areas and highlight some of the positive stories. Don't you think?
Definitely, neighbor, and I think there's a lot of positive that is going on, neighbor, that is not being highlighted at the level that it should, because I know a lot of persons down there, neighbor, are moving on, neighbor. As much as over there and talk like persons, the persons are moving on, neighbor. Persons are remodeling and refixing their roofs, neighbor. Persons are trying to get their life back on order. But persons are not highlighting this, because in Jamaica media, good news don't sell. It's bad news sells. So all of these media outlets, neighbor, most of them have ulterior motive. The international media, neighbor, they also have an ulterior motive, neighbor. It's a third world country, a developing nation. They want to show the worst side of us. So they also want to do that as well. So we also have to understand it from that level, neighbor, that yes, someone need to go down there, neighbor, and highlight the good, highlight the positive that is coming out of this, because despite they're trying to make it look, neighbor, we know that there's some positive coming out of it, neighbor. And earlier on, the guy who was on earlier was saying the response was very slow. Again, neighbor, we cannot say the response was slow. Neighbor, listen to me. We have to look at this in phases. Our preparation, neighbor, was well. We've been spending money from the hurricane season was declared, neighbor. Coming to the week before, or a couple of days before medicine, neighbor, we spent over $400 million. That was preparation. That is what you call preparation. Now, neighbor, in your recovery, in your attempt to make a recovery, neighbor, your recovery is based on the magnitude of whatever the situation is, or whatever the magnitude of the disaster. Now, neighbor, it is anyone who don't say or who can recognize or cipher with them brain say, based on the magnitude of this specific hurricane, Melissa, it was above and beyond our ability to respond in a whichever way these persons wanted us in a time where we are whatever, neighbor. The response that we gave to this situation, neighbor, it was the best one based on the resources that we have at the time and the level and the magnitude. We have to understand that, neighbor. We cannot look at first world nations and look at how they respond to issues and look at how we respond to issues. Look at our own specifics. And that's why we have to respond the way we did. And personally, have to understand that, neighbor, we're not a first world country. We lack resources.
And I just want to say something quickly here, neighbor. You see, one of the things that we have to look at going forward, neighbor, and maybe this have come from the local government level, where we need to have hurricane relief building in every constituency, right? So whenever time we are coming on to the hurricane season, that we can man these facilities, putting in the necessary resources. So whenever time we have an hurricane, then the mobilization can take place and the aid can start to do the distribution from within the constituency. The next point I want to make clearly, it is really an injustice of the opposition leader to pull out of this giant select committee, because what happened now, on the ground, the politicians are the one who best know the constituency and know the reach of the constituency and know the needs of the constituency. And so therefore, if the opposition was working alongside with the government, no one would leave behind. Because just as though a JLP member of parliament will look out first and foremost for his supporters, the PMP caretaker or member of parliament would be there looking out for their people as well. So I think
Holness has the capacity. I think Holness has the capacity to explain, to rally the nation, and to you know.
Yes, neighbor, and at this critical juncture, one of the most important people right now on the ground are the political party workers, the runners of the party, because they are the one who know the terrain of the constituency.
Hold on there, sir, please. Please, we had Tamika before you. I'm coming to you, sir. Give me a minute there. Tamika? Good evening, ma'am. Hello?
Sorry, I was trying to unmute. Are you hearing me?
I am hearing you. Yes.
Okay, good night. Good night, neighbor, good night, panel, good night, everybody.
Yeah, man. Good evening to you, madam.
The gentleman that was on saying that we weren't prepared. Listen, there you can prepare for natural disaster. No matter how you think you are prepared. You don't know what's gonna happen when you know. You understand? So even if we were prepared to as much as we think we were, we don't know what was gonna happen, and I don't think because normally when category 5 come into Jamaica, by the time it reach it normally change, right? And go back down, and so it never really come to us like that. So I think everybody was expecting that then at some point it was going to change, right? And another thing with the people with the people them, I agree. A lot of people have lost stuff and need help and stuff, but Jamaican people always want to depend on the government to do everything for them. Some of them said they don't have clothes and stuff like that, which is right. But what I'm trying to say, all right, I understand with furniture mash up and stuff, but with clothes, when rain fall, no most like you get wet or something. So you want them to say there is no river or nothing down there where you can go wash you. I don't know if I'm not being caring enough. But some things I feel like there's some stuff where, you know, they can do for themselves.
People wear new clothes.
You understand what I'm saying? Because I feel like, yes, and I feel like they need to come together and start clean up down there, and even take up something them and put them one side. That's when the people them come, them can pick it up and stuff like that. We have to listen. The government can't do everything. We have to we have to try and help ourselves. We have to try and help ourselves. And I don't know when Jamaican become like this, become so codependent and want to depend on. You understand what I'm saying? We have to help out each other. At the end of the day, the government can do but so much. But listen, if you can go to a road, go pick up 2 zinc, and you can knock up signal and where you can cover up yourself and get little shelter until help come to you, why you don't do that? Why you going to do just stay out there because you want to look the worst government come and serve you? We have to do better. We have to do better as a nation, as a people. We have to do better. This is the time where people need to come together. This is not a one-man thing. This is everybody need to come together. You understand what I say? People start do these things. Remember one time, when hurricane come to Jamaica, then time me that big belly, and you want to see me how to road I help, I take up and get this for help. That's what we need to start doing. But everybody becomes so stush nowadays. Nobody, I'm not doing that. Me I wait from wellness to come pick it up for me. That's it come like that them I do. And everything we politicize everything. No, it's not about PMP and labor right. This is about Jamaica. We need to put that all. You understand what I'm saying? And this is the thing that is mashing up our nation. Everything we politicize, everything. I went nothing no gossip. You know, and I hear you all saying that people need to come out and listen. Let me tell you, you all know how Jamaican people stay. When we hold up on something, we not let it go. So even though they hold up on the negative, if somebody come and come put the truth in front of them, they're still not letting what them not believe, them not let go what them believe. That's how they is. You understand what I'm saying? I'm telling you, sometimes I'm telling you, sometimes I'm so disappointed in us, in how we Jamaicans stay. Everything Everything.
But Tamika, even when you listen to the professional journalists, especially the one like a Diane Jackson Miller, all she is there about, is to preach doom and gloom, to preach the failure of the government. That's all she's about, and that's what the people are gravitating to, the negativity.
And that is so bad because you know what? It's mostly people in Jamaica that are speaking down on the Prime Minister because we don't know. Because people in other countries are seeing the value of a Prime Minister that have his country at heart. Listen, I'm just 44-year-old and I see a lot of disaster happening in other country. And I'm telling you, this is the first I've ever seen so many countries coming together supporting Jamaica. Because you think so they would just do that if they did believe that we were all corrupted as how we used to be?
You know, Tamika, yesterday evening, I was listening to a gentleman giving a breakdown and saying to us that the wind speed and the damages that Hurricane Melissa caused in the western part of the island, it was more devastating than the Hiroshima blast and the Nagasaki blast in terms of when the measure is in a terror juice.
Yes, they want things to be done. You ever hear they always say, it's like if there's a rule where in a Jamaica, just say, oh, they don't want you beat Pitney again. They always talk about, them always want this is Jamaica, this is not America. But yes, still when disaster happen, they want things to be done like it happened in America. But when any other things happen, it is Jamaica, it's not America. So okay, it's a disaster, and we are just a small little country. As much as we're going like we're bigger and we're broader than everybody else, at the end of the day, we are just as look at that on the map. We gotta stop people, we gotta stop it, and there's so much things going on that I'm telling you, I am so disappointed in us as a country. The other day I was on and I hear this lady come in, say I wanted to come on at the time. Say she's opening up an organization and everything she how much bodies. I hear where she get her information from TikTok.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? You come in to spew negativity, and where you get your information from? Somebody on TikTok. Like, and I hear Scratchy have that. Did you hear from CVF? Did you hear from TVJ? No, I hear from a guy from TikTok. Like, are you serious? And then when you were trying to bring her, so listen, you're just starting something. This is not how this is not how you start off your thing. And she go up in her feelings, she feel disrespected, she feel this. That is the thing with a lot of us Jamaican. When we're in the wrong and somebody's trying to bring you in the right, you feel offended.
You know, even today I hear a famous one on TikTok saying, a lady saying that hospital in Kingston don't got medication to give to patient. And I'm saying, then listen, now that the world is reaching out to us, in last week, Canada sent a cargo plane here full of medical stuff to us. If it is such as the situation, then I believe that the minister or the head of the medical fraternity, in them finite wisdom, who no ask India to donate to them some medication if that's so be the case. These people are just tarnishing the image of our country.
Jamaica, yes, that's what they are doing. That they think like whatever they're doing, they're making Andrew look bad. No, Andrew not gonna look bad. It's the whole country, because people are gonna say, look at this. If this is how, if we help them, this is how they're gonna react to us. You know, one lady, oh, we don't want no more food, we want zik. Like, are you serious?
That's true.
Like, I don't understand. If they know what they're doing, it's not a good look. It's not a good look.
Yeah,
it's
and
not
neighbor,
a good look.
Yeah, and neighbor, to add to
before you come in, sir. So ma'am, you have been suggesting, you see, that the people should take some responsibility for themselves.
Yes.
Don't you think though that the shock of the moment can be psychologically debilitating and cause people just to be stuck?
that would more go for like maybe the younger generation. But for old foot like me, 44-year-old, we've been through and experienced, and you understand, I don't think that should be a shock. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
No, ma'am. You know, ma'am, I had an accident some years ago, and every time I drive past the place that I had the accident, it's almost like I still remember it, and you know, my heart races. A catastrophe like this can cause your mind to almost be stuck at a place where you can't move, you know, ma'am, because you're shocked. You're still in shock, and it probably will take you some time to, disasters sometimes can put you in denial, you know.
Yes, it does. But when you have responsibilities, you have responsibility, you can't stay there, especially if you have your kids and you have that. You have to get out of that shock. And you gotta woman up or man up. You can't stay there. You understand? We live in the Caribbean where we know I think the only thing maybe where would have shocked me like a volcano or something what I've never seen before. But once you live in Jamaica, we all have experienced I think hurricane before. So you know, and
not to this extent and level though. Well, I must share to a level where the neighbor say. I think that it's in this situation, Jamaica, we as Jamaican, we tend to look for a psychological effect of things and feel like say that not important. You know, it not come with age. You could have been 99. It can affect your psychological effect can affect you. And Tamika, you have a house where you live in for 40 years, all your life. Yeah, it might not be in the best condition, constructive condition, but you're living it. And you see a situation like this come, Tamika, and you see your house ravel when you look around in the years around and you see, oh, you're going to pick up the first pieces. You lose all a family member who in the whole situation. Those things can have lasting effect. I will most often understand, Tamika, say, different folks, different strokes. All of us are built different. All of us are built together.
That is true. I'm not saying people shouldn't whatever, but I'm saying you can't stay there, because if me stay there and decide to I'm not gonna do nothing, I'm not gonna try and do nothing, what's gonna happen? You understand what I'm saying? That's just
right, would you believe me? Would you believe me that a lot of persons now gonna come back in after this situation here?
Well,
would you believe me that after this situation here, a lot of persons' psychology are gone because of the impact with this? Tamika, you in the disaster zone is a total thing. Tamika, I went to a situation, and me can tell you so up to now, me still have flashback and psychological effect from that, and that one 15 years ago.
But you never stay in there, you still try to move. You get what I'm saying?
No, listen what I'm saying, Tamika. I'm not saying that they must stop, but I'm saying that we also have to share some sentiments towards these people on a psychological level. Where you think the government has sent counselor go down there for these big grown-ass people? Because the government understand that a lot of these people are psych right now. They need some form of psychological help. I said that they must use that to be worthless and want to help themselves. And we must be fair too. A lot of persons down there are rebuilding Neighbour. A lot of persons down there are making steps and making moves. Just that the media now highlight these things. The media does not highlight it. So a lot of persons are picking up and move on. And we don't want to believe it or not, persons are going to stuck psychologically, and this is going to affect a whole heap of persons.
As a matter of fact, some people are never going to recover.
Of course. Some people are never going to recover from this.
Yeah, some people are never going to recover from this. And I think we have to be patient with some people, you know. I tell you the truth, some people are really going to need some psychological help to propel themselves forward. When you wake up the next day and all you have worked for your life is underwater, that's not something that you don't need help for. And I think that in addition to the physical, economic support, there's going to need to be some social, psychological, social, cultural, psychosocial support strategy.
Yes, neighbor, we cannot, neighbor, that's why I tell you what to be careful. We cannot be saying that this is a category, this, I will never see a hurricane like this before, and then we're going to expect so the people to just come and recover like before then. Same way like how this is a hurricane that we have never seen before, it is same way we must understand that the people is going to take longer to recover than ever before.
But
Yeah.
Scratchy, yes, all of you are correct. But I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about those. You see what's going on. You see the video where them put out and how them are going like, oh, you know. And another thing, some of them is like when you hear them asking for stuff, it's like they're demanding. We need this. It's like, oh, you understand what I'm saying? Those are the type of people I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the one who really, you get what I'm saying? But you really have some who is doing too much and just make it look like, you know, those are the type of people I'm talking about.
Yeah, you have some other situation. That's what I'm telling Neighbour earlier and say, I don't let any one situation that I see on a video or on a camera try to create the narrative as this is the whole situation of everybody. That might just be for those particular persons at that spot who have voiced their opinion. The whole disaster, who go to the disaster might don't share that same sentiment. So that's why I'm trying to put my brain in a level that whatever I see coming out of down there, I just try to tell myself that it's being done on a widespread level. Is this how everyone down there feel, or is just these people alone? So I understand, Tammy, because I say it's a type of disaster that we have never seen before. Everyone is saying that nothing like this never happened yet. So I expect that the persons who live in those areas, I know that based on what they saw and what they went through, I expect them to take some time as well too.
That's true. And some person expect the Prime Minister is supposed to, jump on situation urgently and fix a problem that we never seen before. Majority if in the country. But yes, Neighbour, good day. How are you doing?
Good evening, sir. By the way, I just want to say to my listeners, give me a minute, so let me take a break. I'll come in right back to you. All right. We are 18 up to 18 up to 7. Caroline is on the other side of the line. I need a break. Listeners, we want to visit some of these communities in the disaster area. We want to make that visit this week. We want to get in there and hear some of the stories. And we're asking you to help us to do it. You can contribute to water. We want to take some water in there and snacks for children. We want to get in there and find out for ourselves what are some of the issues on the ground, and also to offer some psychosocial support. It's a very expensive trip, and we're asking you to help us make this possible this week. Can you purchase a case of water for a family, maybe a bottle? Then we'll be happy to hear from you. Caroline is on the other side of the line, and she'll post the information. You can get in touch with her, and we'll make this happen this week. Please, let's do this. 876-858-9553 is the number to call. 876-858-9553. You WhatsApp that if you're in Jamaica. If you're in the United States, then we have a Cash App and a Zelle account. And if you're in Canada, we have e-transfer. All right, we're going to get back to our callers, okay? Please help us to go into these communities now. We want to go in there and see what is happening. Muslim, go right ahead.
Yes, good day. So good day. Yes. Yeah, so I had some question that I really want to ask you before I start. But
ask me, sir?
Yes. But before I get to that though, I can recall that when person said the Prime Minister was not prepared, I realized that the Prime Minister now is always going to be now a bad situation all the time. Because before the hurricane, I remember the Prime Minister allocating, 170 plus million to all MPs to the clean up drains and help person to prepare for the hurricane. But yet still, the same persons are going to argue that the Prime Minister was never prepared for the hurricane. That's where I realized that the Prime Minister will never be never do not yet good in this country regarding to some people. Next thing I want to ask is, what's the role and duties of the parish council in the parish? Because again, I keep asking this question to multiple persons to say that the parish council have the responsibility and the duties regarding to the prime minister and the budget that they have. Now, again, I never, even though person after 2 years, they have their midterm election with the parish council thing, but yet still nobody have them accountable for anything. Like nothing. You never hear nobody say, parish council come fix the road, parish council come fix the pipe, parish council come do this, which they have those responsibilities as well. But I never hear a person say nothing to this person regarding the same budget that the prime minister has, because you know they make money where they have responsibilities to some of these communities. So again, can you, if not, if I'm going wrong, can you maybe educate me to say that if I'm right or if I need more information regarding those stuff?
Go ahead, Scratchy. I think Scratchy can better help you here.
I think, neighbor, to be fair, neighbor, when you look at the parish councils that are affected right now, you look at the St. Elizabeth Municipal Corporation, the Westmoreland Municipal Corporation, the Hanover Municipal Corporation, neighbor. 3 corporations, neighbor, that are not amongst the best performing corporations in the island, neighbor. And when you look at our governance structure, it's set up, I know that yes, we have a local government arm, but despite having a local government arm, even before Melissa, we have seen where this organization Muslim is lacking. These guys are lacking. Their ability to step up and do certain things, they are lacking. But what we must understand now, though, we must do Muslim in context is, in a disaster like this, under the Disaster Risk Management Act, central government is the one who was all of the power.
No man,
central
no
government,
man, not directly regarding the disaster itself, you know. But I'm talking overall, even before disaster or after disaster, you'd never hear nobody come to the. I remember the situation where, you know, when Andrew met the whole
Well, you're
Portland.
just talking on parish council overall.
Yeah, overall, because when remember the situation when the prime minister they charged them the whole $30 million regarding the monthly fee for the Portland whatever or the St. Thomas, and
Yes.
and then look how the people then react. This person in the parish council was like, we don't have the budget to do this. If you're going to demand all of this money from us, but yes, still nobody now blame you when you don't do your duty. Nobody don't look towards you guys. They look towards the government. So the government have a right to you know, take some budget from you guys, because again, you don't use it. You're not getting blamed for it, so you don't use it.
And parish council, they have 13 means how they make money on their own. They have 13 ways how they make money, neighbor. Even though they still get subvention from government, but they have 13 other ways on their own how parish councils make more money, make their own money. I don't know from a parish level in terms of where the damage is, neighbor. I don't know how much of a revenue does these guys bring in. These numbers are not readily available neither. I don't know how these guys spend. And a lot of the money that is coming from parish council Muslim is coming in cash. About 70% of parish council money is through cash. Market fees, bus park fees, license fees, persons applying for dance permits and spirit licenses and stuff like that. So you find that a lot of these things come through cash. So I don't think that, and parish council, I don't want to believe it or not, they are marred with corruption to a certain level, neighbor. I must admit that. And I admit with a Muslim, parish council need to be more robust and stronger. And John Major can tell you, I'm always advocating for a total revamp of our parish council is set up, neighbor. I am not in agreement with it. I don't like the current format of it. I don't like how it is set up, neighbor. It is corruption prone, and I don't think these towns and cities in these parishes, neighbor, are benefiting from these guys. Because even in a time like disaster like this, I'm not seeing where parish council can even stand up on even 1 foot of their own or even 2 toes. They are totally weak, neighbor. Weak.
But when you look,
Good evening, neighbor.
Budget forward. Go ahead.
Mackenzie, he addressed that. He did say they get money every month to clean drain, for beautification of the community, and among other things. They do get money. When you see somebody a patch pothole, that's supposed to be the councillor's job. Not major projects. Projects like the patch pothole and stuff like that, clean drains, and you know the
No,
bushing.
no, it's not,
where
it's
you
not
clean
even
up the
about, it's
roadside,
not only about
all of
potholes.
that.
You have the roads in
However,
Jamaica are break up. You
however,
have parish council have
but
roads that they are
what
responsible for. And
yes,
central government have
they're
roads that
not
they are
they're not
responsible.
yeah, you're right. They're not responsible for major highways, major roads, secondary roads in small communities, all that they're responsible for. However, they are not doing it. That is the reality. They are not doing it. They're not doing none of that.
Yeah, that's why
Them wait on Labor Day. What they do is wait on Labor Day when it's free and get the whole community to clean it up for free. And then wait on December again to do it.
Let me go back to
And-
Odette for a minute, budget. So hold on there, please. Odette? No, she's gone. She's gone. Oh, okay, go ahead, budget.
Also, when you guys are talking about Westmoreland, you notice nobody ever, of course, a MP or a councillor, everything is a one name everybody call Andrew. Now, I would like to know, wherever you are, who is representing Andrew? Isn't it not supposed to be all these other people that are supposed to be coordinating the drops, where they're supposed to go, how it is handed out? Nobody's calling out no MP. Everybody wants somebody then complain about Andrew. You're right there. You see who is getting the aid, how it is being handed out, and you're not complaining about who getting the aid and what they're doing with it.
You don't think that the country is just in shock that these people are just right now psychological?
How are you psychologically shocked? Are you political with your psychology?
That's true. That's true.
Explain that to me.
Politics not nothing with how you feel. Politics not nothing with how you feel.
It's not like the politics, the hurricane wash with your politics. Do you think that some of these people are just right now going through mentally they are just not at the right place?
Okay, let me give you an example. If you're mourning a death, do you think you really and truly have the time to come on camera crying when you're mourning a death?
Yes.
So you fix your tears for the camera, if you come on the camera to cry at that moment.
No, it's just that when they put the camera
that specific moment
in your face, the fountain of tears burst.
People can cry in front of camera. I don't see nothing wrong with that.
No, listen. We know, we sensible to know when somebody is really emotional versus that person when you do it for TikTok or social media. It is very evident.
Not in all cases.
It's very evident.
Not in all cases.
Not in all cases.
Not in all cases.
So
emotional damage sometimes don't necessarily show up on face.
I agree with you, but how are you emotionally damaged, but you're political in your emotions?
Yeah,
that doesn't stop you from being emotional.
No, but budget has a point, you know, because there's some time where you need to take a time to reflect rather than you start to mumble regarding all.
If you're upset, you curse everybody. MP, councillor, Andrew, everybody. But you're selective in your cussing.
Yeah, and then each time, sometimes you want to agree to say that yes, they may be going through a problem. A week ago I was on a live Neighbour, and then the lady was there and she was like, our house is damaged. So I said to the lady that you know that you can go by NHT and you can access the grant, the 500,000 that can help you. The lady said, where may I get my ID from? Our ID, that's right. So I said, just as though when you now go foreign, when you go somewhere, you can look about those stuff, emergency, you go look about them, something. They can look about it, just start cost me. So it's like, then sometimes you wonder, you really want to help or you want to blame somebody. You understand? Because how hard it for you to go, sort out the ID, sort out the TRN and just get the bar running. But you have time to say, Andrew, cost Andrew. That don't make no sense.
Yeah, but seriously, guests, callers, you don't think the enormity of this shock has placed a lot of these people at an emotional disadvantage? Really, come to think about it. Is it not wise to be patient with them and how they are expressing themselves? Some of them are going through a hell of a time, you know.
But neighbor, who is really costing the government? Is it the persons who are living in these disaster area, persons outside?
I think when the stories come out, Scratchy, if you look at the comments, say for example, you know, a woman comes out in the Observer today, she's lying on her back on her mattress with her son beside her, and the story is saying that the son is in shock, you know, and the woman is lying on her back looking up into the sky, Scratchy, no roof over her head. A story like that is going to stir people's emotions, Scratchy, and they're going to feel that somehow the government needs to go and do something about this.
Yeah, I understand from that. But in terms of persons who are cursing, I'm not talking about who's cursing if they're emotional. I'm talking about that in terms of persons' effort, neighbor, to get up and go and want to rebuild. That's what we're talking about with the psychological effect. I know that, neighbor. This is something, neighbor, that I know.
I don't think some of them can move on just yet.
Exactly, neighbor. That's what I'm saying earlier, neighbor. We cannot say that based on the magnitude of the disaster, we have never seen nothing like this yet. And they want the people them to behave like how they behave in Gilbert. Hurry up and get up and rebuild. And this disaster is more disastrous. So we keep saying we never see nothing like this. We must be understanding and compassionate to them, neighbor. That's why I always say, neighbor, if we are more concerned about how we look than how these people literally feel, neighbor, we feel them people here, neighbor. In a time like this, we cannot be more concerned about how we look. It should be more concerned about how these people feel. If them go through what them go through,
you can't monitor our feelings over somebody looks, because we judge person over their looks and then we kind of understand the feelings. You understand? Because you can't see the person feeling. No, again, at the end of the day, all me try to say is that if I'm going to come to you and offer help, say you need time, fine. But you can't need time and then you blame somebody. You can't need time and have time for political. You can't need time and then have time for something else other than what you need the time for. When you do all of those stuff, that means that you don't need the help or you don't need the time. You just want to blame somebody or you need to just do something else. You understand? If I need help for building my house, but I'm going to find time to go argue with somebody regarding one car, whatever. You understand? If you need the time for this, you put yourself in that situation to help. If you need the counsel, nobody now gonna say them don't go into the problem. Because some people face their problem. Some people maybe do other things just by not facing their problem, which is right.
No, Kevin Bennett, we not say that give them right for this the Prime Minister. That's why I'm gonna ask the question, you know, who is really doing this? Is the people in the disaster area? Most of the disrespect community come towards the government are from persons who don't live in these areas, you know. That's from persons outside, you know. Up to now, I don't see a solid protest in none of these disaster areas where me see them people are rebel against the government on a level where they're saying, yes, we know the government do this and the government do that. It's people from the outside that take up these things and feed them and attack based on a one situation that they might see. Up to now, neighbor, I am yet to feel or see that these people are very upset and create some form of unrest against the government. I'm not seeing that a person outside of fuel this thing, neighbor, that I see.
Even with the ID thing, when person are gonna say, oh, they need ID for go collect food, and ID for do this and ID for whatever. Like those information, I knew that they were coming from the outside. Yeah, that's
outside of fuel those things. The outsiders of fuel most of what go on. The persons them down there. If the persons them weren't pleased to a certain level, I'm telling you, these persons would have started protest already. These persons would have started rebel already. And I'm not getting that from them. It's the persons outside who get a one view or a one picture of something in a one particular situation. Them now amplify the talking point on it and push the agenda and rotate the picture and make it look like everybody in the disaster area is going through this. When it's not.
They only take a 30-second video and run with it. That's all. They don't fact check. Try to find out if this is true, this is not true. They just run with whatever they see, which is negative. Nobody now run with no positivity and say, look, see a helicopter just drop some food and distribute something. Nobody's posting that, you know. And every single day, there's helicopter dropping food all over, from Westmoreland to St. Elizabeth, constantly between US helicopters, the JDF, and other people who are going to the communities and I do all of that. Nobody's posting none of those.
Budget, even neighbor, even I think this week, Thursday or Wednesday, the helicopter land by Kingston High School, that big American helicopter to pick up some stuff to carry down. But that was never mentioned nowhere when all of that. You understand? So when these good things are happening, we don't see them as when somebody go down there and just take a one picture of somebody lying down for a matcha, somebody homeless or whatever. Them send out these and that don't give the necessary.
Sir, humanitarian stories of helplessness of people is always going to be popular, and it's always going to stir emotions. Newspapers want to sell paper, so them will do things like that. Fox and all the other major news stations want to sell stories, so they will put out stories like these. Scratchy makes a very good point that in a disaster, you are going to have stories of suffering. It's going to happen. It's almost inevitable. You can't escape suffering. It is our response, Scratchy, that we must be focused on. Correct?
Exactly, neighbor. That's why when I hear persons come and persons are saying that the government weren't prepared, what do you mean? The government spent over $600 million to prepare for the hurricane. We're not what the government is doing right now is not preparedness. It's recovery. We're in a recovery process now.
But Scotchy, regarding the Gleaner though, right? I understand where you said that they're going to send out this story. But when we know in Jamaica that things are being political, the moment you send out a news, we all know it's going to be political. There must be a way you can balance it to say this is happening and this is happening, rather than just to come out and say you clip somebody living on a bed, and then when people are going to respond to say that the Prime Minister not nothing. Because when that make the front page, people are just think the Prime Minister not nothing. You're in Jamaica, you can't go expect you're going to send out put in a green and say somebody live on the bed, and then you're going to think rather feel sorry. No, the people are going to make it political and just say the Prime Minister not nothing.
Well,
Muslim, watch this now. Did anybody show any of the field hospitals then, or the mobile clinic that is in Black River and that is in Westmoreland?
Yeah, but
anybody post any of them? Shows the inside, shows the inside of it, shows the facility. Nobody did that.
Yeah, man. Fox News do it.
Yeah, budget.
Where is Fox News?
I mean, where is Fox News?
But I'm just showing you, if a news team from overseas can come and see the importance of showing that, why can't we?
Yeah, I'm telling you, Jay said nobody. I saw it on Fox.
Yeah.
Every page you turn on the Gleaner, and there's something, you see something, somebody over there up on a bed, lie down and complain, somebody around there say cuss, somebody, that's all you see. So nothing positive, no writing in your newspaper.
Okay. All right. Charlene. Hello. I'm not seeing this name here. Charnel Smith. Smith. Hello. No. I'm not hearing Smith at all. Okay. She's not there. I think though, guys, that the government themselves have a responsibility to highlight what they are doing. Not true, Scratchy.
Government have that responsibility. The government must make sure that everything that they are doing is highlighted and it is showed out there what they are doing. That is the government responsibility. Despite whatever the other media houses want to do, the government also have a responsibility, neighbor, to highlight. But in the same breath, neighbor, the government shows us a greater responsibility, neighbor, to uphold the dignity of these people.
Yeah.
The government share a bigger responsibility to uphold the people and dignity. The government can't do like the media and come push camera in people's face.
Yeah, but
the government have to uphold the people's dignity and pride.
But the same government is helping the Gleaner company.
If you look at Pernell Charles' page, if you look at Daryl Vaz' page, if you look at Floyd Green page, if you look at many of the Andrew Horner's page, they have it up. But again, if I don't want you to see something good, I'm not going to repost it. I'm not going to show people that. And if certain people are not following these pages, they won't know.
That's true.
They
like
will not know.
If
they post all of these things, JDF posts too, JDF posts almost every day. 3, 4, 5 different clips all over the island. They post these things. But if all I want to show is negativity, I'm not going to repost it.
And then Scratchy, if I'm a PNP supporter, you don't expect me if you go look on the Prime Minister say for him I deal with. Me I go look on everybody platform to see what them I deal with and don't look on it because me no want to see no good. But what regarding the Gleaner company, where you know a person's going to read that sometime regardless. The Gleaner company have a responsibility to show proof of evidence, especially majority of the good stuff that is happening in the country, because I know that the government.
Sorry, no such responsibility.
96, they don't. They, in all
no
honesty,
such responsibility.
they don't. They're still an entity that is for profits, and as such, they will do what requires to make that profit.
Yes, them don't know such.
So much we've seen based on how they word. So they may be giving the government a good review per se, for a better word, but then it's like a backhanded kind of thing how they word it.
But the Gleaner is a profit organization, though.
Yes, yeah, the private company, the private business, a privately run business.
You do know RGR is a listed company on the stock exchange, right?
Yeah, it's a privately run business. They have no obligation to government to carry good news to government.
The only institution that has the obligation to ensure the truth comes out is actually the government. And I think how they get the information out is a little bit lacking, because there are certain things we want to say.
I think JIS
nobody know what's JIS. JIS lame, man. Nobody know what's
But that's
JIS.
what I'm saying. That is the only entity, Jamaica Information Service. That's so, you know?
They can be a lot more forceful in how they go about it, right? So for example, I'm still awaiting, I haven't seen it on JDF site because I checked. I'm still awaiting to see something like a map of areas that are actually fully opened, what is the toll and so on. I'm not seeing that, and normally for some countries that I know of, you would have that, the public would have that information to them.
What information?
In terms of logistics wise, right? To see how well recovery is being done, right? We haven't had a picture per se, because remember, I know, Scratchy, I know everybody read things and most people listen to things, but yes, if they can see it as well, to see, for example, let's say JPS is saying we're what, at 60% or 70% with electricity. Put a map of Jamaica, like let it be known, like these are the areas. If you want to put it in blue, because I think that would represent some level of hope. These are the connectivity areas and so on. Instead, people still kind of guess, because when they hear 77%, we don't really know what 77% look like.
I think they did that, Ari. I think I saw something where JPS did that. I think they are. To be fair, I think JPS did that. They show all the areas and they highlight the communities that they are coming to next. Communities and tell about when that will be Santa Cruz will be up by that time.
But he wants to go on a site to see it.
But all right, so Scratchy, look on this now. Like how you go up on the Gleaner website, right? And them said news now. It said community is still mourn, new ODPM aids, and then cartel hurricane mission of relief. Yes. You see me talk about, and you tell me said there is no other good other farm say between those information.
No, them just right headline to sell news.
Muslim, you cannot expect better, because I show you this wording. I can't remember it word for word. When they post, JLP has 13 senate. They appointed 13 senators, and this is the money that they're going to get annually. That is the title. So everybody focused now is at so much money they might get. And it's a talking point. Nobody no read whatever else.
That budget.
I just the heading, the heading. You can't sue them for that heading, You can't sue them for that heading because they're speaking the truth. But it's just the way how they word it.
Exactly. Even the last week budget, they had a headline: dead bodies all around. That was the headline on the Gleaner the other day: dead bodies all around. So anytime somebody from the international media or someone see something like that and take up that and see that, you gotta say, whoa, we're going to Jamaica, dead bodies all around.
And nobody's going to read that dead bodies all around sound like thousands, right?
Thousands of bodies.
And we don't have 100 people dead.
No 100 people dead.
But
exactly.
dead bodies all around sound a lot, right? And we don't have 100 yet. in one parish. I don't even
No.
have 15 one parish.
The Gleaner know exactly what them doing here. The Gleaner is always gonna be for who they want. They have a hidden agenda and they're in this for profit. So we must understand say the Gleaner, but in terms of getting the information out, the government have something they call the Jamaica Information Service, JIS Neighbour. I think JIS need a serious revamping, Neighbour. And not just a revamping, there's a thing on all media broadcasts, all TV stations in Jamaica and all radio stations, Neighbour. When they get the license, the spectrum license, Neighbour, a part of the license give the government, every one of them have a slot that is called time allotted for government broadcast. Free broadcast.
You know,
Free broadcast.
I was going
What
to
they
ask
doing?
you, Scratchy, if the government still get the 5 minutes out of every hour.
Yeah, government still have time allotted for government broadcast. Now, what I think, though, Neighbour, is, I would suggest to the government that going forward, Neighbour, the time span where these TV stations are given to the government for JIS to come on. Nobody not watching TV in those times. Nobody not watch TV 4:30, 4 o'clock. Nobody not watching TV 5:30. Nobody not watch TV those times, Neighbour. They need to go back and go back to these people, Neighbour, and talk to them and say, yo, what a better time slot we can get. We understand, say, yes, we now take up on the profit and we know that prime time is a total different thing, but some government thing, Neighbour, must have to be broadcast in prime time, Neighbour. In this prime time, we need 1 5-minute ad or something about the government in this prime time. It cannot be where these guys give us a time allotted to a government broadcast, but it is the worst time of the day when people not watching TV. So no one is watching government broadcast. It's the worst time of the day when nobody not listening to radio. It needs to be slotted in at the prime time them. Whenever not the major time when they want to watch news when it's 7 o'clock news time.
Or then give government 5 minutes out of every hour. One out of every hour, you must have at least have 5 minutes for the government time where you broadcast those information. But regarding that,
I think it's more than that.
We would have to review the communications.
I think it's more than that because
30 minutes they get 30 minutes a day.
No, man,
yeah,
I'm saying to see if there's any...
We're in a stage of life where social media is running things. So JIS now have to expand beyond TV. JIS now need a TikTok page. JIS now need a Instagram page, need a YouTube page. They need to be posting on all platforms. That is where we're at right now. So, they need to revamp and, hire people to do these things, hire people to monitor these sites and post, reputable stuff, not misinformation, but they're actually the right things. That's where we're at, right?
Yeah,
and
but
I think the government kind of realized that now, because then, you know what I mean? Nobody never really attack TikTok for nothing and social media for nothing, but that's where we're at right now.
You're making quite a good point there, sir, because even myself, when I started on this space here, if I should share something with you and my listeners, based on my interaction with TikTok, when I came on here, I felt ashamed, I never felt good about myself. So what on God's earth am I doing in this space? And there have been people trying to take me off TikTok to go to other places, and I told them no, I'll stay right here for the time being. let me pick up back Scratchy. Don't move, listeners. Don't move. It's fantastic. I was saying to myself, why are you going up on Neighbour? And they have been there. You know that Scratchy?
Yes, Neighbour.
Yes, I was telling the listeners and my guests that when we started this more than 9 months ago, I was wondering what God's earth I come up in this space to do where they cuss bad word and say all kinds of this. And Scratchy, many people have tried to take me off this program with offers to go other places, and I've told them no, I'll stay right here for the time being. It's a powerful tool, Scratchy, for information.
And Neighbour, it's a powerful tool, and I think where the government can capitalize on it, Neighbour, is not just the fact that it's a powerful tool, Neighbour, because the government could have come and go and post on TikTok, Neighbour. If it is not done in a way that is attractive, Neighbour, you wouldn't get nobody same way. Government is
Scratchy,
too boring.
I was about to say that.
You will make budget.
You
I
have
think
to
government
find
is
a way
too.
to get into the algorithm.
Yeah, I think government is
That
too
is the
boring,
key.
neighbor. When I say boring, in terms of the presenters, neighbor, government need to find different persons. There are some young person. There are person. There's this girl in Jamaica named Tatania. Imagine a Tatania neighbor around the presenter for JIS, and another popular Envy Royal or one of those type of persons. We need to understand, neighbor. We have to tap into these things, neighbor. A Tatania and an Envy Royal, neighbor, the presenter for government broadcast on TikTok, would bring way more attention to it than the current presenters that they have. Government need to understand, neighbor, that
Sorry,
where we're
but
at right now.
That is right, Scratchy, as you're saying.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
hello
government need
neighbor.
to
If
understand.
you're not into the algorithm, you know, hello neighbor, you could have posted a million things, you know. You're not moving, you know. That's what I realize is you have to find a way, as you say, Scratchy, if it attract people, or even that put it in a way that it pop up. You know, a suggestion pop up, JS pop up with something for people to want to see. Because if you're just posting is a waste of time. You have to find a way, as you say, Scratchy, make people follow it, make people
And I
post
tell you
it,
something,
make
sir,
one or
you have
two
to
people
understand
go on it.
how the thing
you know?
works. So here's the thing now I want to say to the listeners online. That you see that little arrow down the bottom there, you have to post it. Okay? And you have to tap the screen. You know how many times I'm up here and TikTok sends me a message that the live is inactive and you know they want to shut it down because enough people are not joining and posting and all of that. That's how this works. It is understanding, as you say, sir, how the algorithm works so that you can reach as much people as you can. Yes?
And one of the things to neighbor is that and you've said it, like this space, the social media space, neighbor, it takes a lot out of you. It has a great responsibility as well because of what it can do in terms of its opportunities. But that is also the reason why we need to ensure, government and otherwise, ensure that whosoever is on this application speaking on the matters, neighbor, understands the level of responsibility. If not, you have to do something to hold them accountable. Because just like how we're saying, you know, the government has to move away from being archaic in its operation when it comes down to getting information and news out. We have to understand that, hey, the illegitimate information is being spread like wildfire because there's no repercussions, there's nobody being held accountable, and people just don't care because they think they are, I said it many times, they're self-proclaimed experts right through and through, and they're the ones who have communities, and this also drowns out anything for the algorithm from the government standpoint.
That's why I agree with when someone said that TikTok for Jamaica, I think it really do more harm than good to the country overall. But as we say, because Jamaica people kind of live for more the lies and the bad word and all everything. If they disgrace somebody, them rather those information rather than the facts and the truth. So when you have like for instance in China, when China tell their people that if you're going to speak on a topic, especially on a government topic, you must be educated. You must have a qualification to speak on those stuff, rather than you can just come out and just say something. You understand? So I know that the Prime Minister is out of him hands right now because TikTok is like everybody thingy. For you, if you come even try put certain things, the backlash will come. People are gonna say, oh, you know what, we'll talk again. Oh, yeah, we can't send out. You understand? So those negative are always there. It's like you do them if you do, you do them if you don't. So either way, it's like it already out of control.
Yeah, and I would want to implore, Scratchy, like oh, you're not here. I want everybody just to, like, after the show and everything, go on TikTok and type in Jamaican TikTok, and you'll see the perception of actual Jamaica that people is running with. You never find programs like this. You never find good information. You're seeing everything else.
That the algorithm.
Yeah.
Definitely, man. The algorithm push whatever is being shared, push whatever is being spread. push whatever negativity, and most negativity. But I definitely think though Aryan Muslim from a Caribbean, a CARICOM standpoint, any changes will come to these social media. I think that's where it have to come. That's where it have to come from. Because Ari, we know these social media operate, neighbor. And it's a bit difficult, neighbor, whether I want to believe it or not. If the government should go and approach the directors and operators of TikTok, it's a bit difficult for we negotiate with them, neighbor, based on the population, neighbor, of our country. These guys might say, whatever changes we are asking them to bring come for a specific demographic as 2.3 million persons, neighbor. They might don't want to do it, neighbor. So that's why we have to negotiate in terms of any changes that we want to social media from a CARICOM level where we are more stronger and broader in our population, about 18 or 19 million strong in CARICOM. That is where the negotiation will have to come from. But from a personal standpoint, Jamaica alone going to one of these guys to negotiate, they are not going to bend to us, and it is possible where they might decide that they pull their service from us. And if one of them should offer to pull their service from us, it is we who are going to feed it more than them. So we have to just know that we take a more holistic approach from the Caribbean standpoint, neighbor, whenever we are talking to these social media. I think something is in place already, neighbor. I think from a CARICOM level, neighbor, they said the Caribbean islands are negotiating to come up with a plan because they see, even now, neighbor, with the advent of AI, they see what is going on with AI, neighbor. We don't have any real laws in the Caribbean or a certain way, neighbor, to go up against AI. So definitely, neighbor, the Caribbean is planning something broad. It will be broadband, not just for a specific country, but on a CARICOM level. And that is what we need.
Let us look at then, moving us a little forward. Let us look at phase 2. We are moving now into 3 weeks of since the hurricane scratching. What are some of the things that needs to start happening now for the people to feel like really aid is coming to them and the country to feel like, boy, we have a hold and a handle on this scratching? Let me hear all of you on that. How do we move this process forward?
Neighbor, I think right now, neighbor, the stages where we're at, neighbor, right now is we're kind of coming out of that what we call the major shock phase, neighbor. Yes, some person might still have remnants of shock, but we're coming out of that major shock area now, shock phase, moving into our rebuilding phase right now, neighbor. As you can see, the government or persons down there, neighbor, are planning to bring back commerce to a certain level, neighbor, especially from a social enterprise level, neighbor. When I say social enterprise level, I mean like community shops and stuff like that. We see where the government is pushing toward those businesses back up and running, neighbor, so that these persons can also provide and have means and ways to gain for themselves. So that is one way, that is one thing, neighbor, that is being done. I saw clippings of Santa Cruz. I saw Eagles back in Santa Cruz selling, neighbor. I saw some little small stores who were able to open up back. So I definitely see things coming in Catching All. I saw a video, neighbor, of Catching All where the government is down there in Catching All with the fire brigade, neighbor. That's only removing the debris from the road, but they're also washing away these roadways, neighbor, from the mud silt that was on the road. So I definitely see things is taking back time coming forward. The major issue, neighbor, is housing. And I think that is what persons are waiting to hear. And a lot of persons, neighbor, whether they want to believe it or not, a lot of persons are slowly but surely, neighbor, advancing towards building back their own personal development. Some of them have received total demolition, neighbor. And we must understand that in the context, some of these persons don't have the financial backing by themselves to even come back at this. Some of these persons were even on land, neighbor, that weren't even their lands. And they might even be asked to be relocated by the owner of these lands and stuff like that. So we have to understand from a level. But again, neighbor, this week, I'll tell you, I'm expecting to hear the Prime Minister talk more about the National Cleanup Week. Once that cleanup week is out of the way, neighbor, I am expecting that some greater things to come after that cleanup week.
Okay, Harry, why has politics gotten involved and seem to be threatening the pace at the response and the information that people need to access resources, etc.? Why do you think the politics has gotten involved?
Well, with it, neighbor, you see, because we don't have a unified governance, whether that is for both the governing party and the opposition, that's where politics will always come into play. Specifically as well, the region that got hit is for one side in terms of when we look at the seats. And if you have an opposition that refuses to accept that they have lost, right? What they will do is try to show a level of partisan and to say that resources aren't going to their people. So politics enters, for understanding, enter the tract when it comes on to a recovery. And that's where our issue lies. That aspect where persons think, in terms of the opposition, think they didn't lose, they should be doing things, they should have a governing power. But you're the opposition, so you should not have those rights. The rights that you have is to offer aid and assistance to your people. And in doing so, you approach the government, the governing administration, to help your people. But they don't want to do that. And as such, we're in the current situation that we're in.
Do you think that, to what extent do you think that the politics has mitigated against the progress that we would have made? Or is it that it's just side talk, it's not affecting the government's effort at all?
It wouldn't have a great deal on how the government itself, the administration, is responding. Of course, we'd want to have a little bit more help in terms of information from the opposite side in their constituencies and so on. But I think it hurts more the perception of the recovery that is being done, right? So hence we see the misinformation, disinformation, and so on. So the government, we know, is doing the work. But what is perceived by how people go about to try and hurt the actual work, neighbor, discrediting the government. Because remember, we do see it. They say, artists and entertainers, they're doing more than the government. But let's be fair. Who got those roads cleared for private sector and entertainment people to get in? But they don't place value on that, right? And then the other part of it, which we've been speaking on.
Hospital. Who coordinated that?
Exactly. How can we get 6 field hospitals? I think most of them are already here. How do we get the aid? How do we get the airports to open, the customs to get everything up and running 2 days after hurricane?
That is so important to know, Harry. That is so important that you are saying that, because this is important for the relief even to get in. You have to do those things. Yeah?
Yes. If none of those things were done, right, then we'd at a standstill. No entertainers could move. No aid would be coming in. In fact, no negotiation for additional aid, because I saw a post where it's a Caribbean aspect where they're going to Congress and so on to try and get an additional aid from the US to Jamaica. Is it that not the government working? Which entertainer will say, I go UN and all of that? None. Which private sector? None.
But when you look at the entire situation, right? As soon as the rain stopped falling, you have person like Mark Golding and Miss Burchell are gonna come out and start speak before the Prime Minister even do anything. Remember, they were the first one that triggered everything. That they were the one who came out demanding that they need more. They're not telling the person that they got money, but they will say they need 50 million. They need to come to this. They need to do this or what. They need to be a part of everything that is happening. When you have those persons come out and formulate a story to say that the Prime Minister not giving you the equipment or the responsibility to do certain things, you basically give the Jamaica people something to say that the Prime Minister no want them to do anything. So when you have the MPs, the opposition leader, yes, you have a right to oppression to everything that the Prime Minister is doing, but you don't put it away where it make the person that is in Westmoreland and St. Elizabeth suffer for your local benefit.
And that is why I said it's based on what is put out to pretty much muddy the waters, to paint a fake image over what is actually being done. And this is the other thing to neighbor. The people of this nation, as much as we are a great nation, right, and we're not fully unified to be even better, we take government roles and responsibilities lightly, like everything. We understand they're governing, right? And these are the things they are required to do. But what we tend to do now is not appreciate the fact that they are doing it efficiently and effectively. Because the government can do whatever they want, in terms of the recovery. It can be a little slower. We've seen recoveries before that slow and so on. But the current government is doing things the right way. And the problem is these people don't understand what it takes to be a
And to add to
very
that,
good
to add to
government.
that, to add to your point to Ari neighbor, persons need to understand neighbor that we don't want these persons where they might try the neighbor, they might try to put some form of competition between government and private citizens as it relates to who is doing more or who is doing less. But what persons need to understand neighbor, and this I don't understand why persons don't understand. Neighbor, listen to me. Based on what happened down there in that area, neighbor, and based on the rapid response, neighbor, from private citizens and our entertainment fraternity and our sections of our country, neighbor, it would have been madness and it would have been a total waste of money, neighbor, if the government was to go and match the aid that was going down there at the same time. It doesn't make sense, neighbor. The government now can reallocate whatever it was supposed to use for that time to other things that is more important. We applaud whatever was done by the citizens and the private members of this country,
Yes.
neighbor. We
Yes.
applaud, neighbor.
You mean that the government has to be aware of what is going in so they don't duplicate it, like food?
Yes, neighbor, the government have to make sure that they don't duplicate. The artists, they were bringing in a whole lot of food, neighbor, and private citizens were bringing a lot of food. They wanted the government to go and duplicate it at that period of time, neighbor. People have to be wise and think, neighbor. Government have to be wise in the resources that they have and how they distinguish, how they spend this resource, neighbor. So the government took a stand and said, okay,
Because
based on what
the private individuals, most of the time is a one-off donation they have. And this is going to be continuing for months.
Exactly. So at some point, neighbor, and going right now till whenever this is done, the government will have to take up the rest of that mantle, neighbor. But the government applaud every single private citizen entertainment fraternity, everybody who rushed to the aid of these persons in the beginning of the process and go in and help. The government couldn't duplicate the process. The government had to wait a little bit, neighbor, till the private person resources were a bit out or a bit running low. Then now the government now come in and step up by the ante. And we see that, neighbor, we see the minister of local government are going around with how many goods and some goods are given out. Majority of the goods that are being dropped by helicopter is not private citizen goods, neighbor. It's the government goods that.
But even
Majority of the goods that are being dropped by the helicopters is the government goods that is not private citizen goods.
even to add
So
to that,
these guys have to
Scratchy,
understand.
people forget that it is the government who actually had a partnership with the private sector. That was what Keith Duncan was spearheading. So the government was the one who initiated all of that and put a team together to organize so private sector people can also go down. But we don't show the appreciation for that because guess what? It don't brand government helping or in a brand Andrew coming to save us. No, the government orchestrated and organized that as well.
Yeah.
But we
have
will
a call
never give it.
in the box. O'Neill Reed, and then Your Highness. O'Neill? O'Neill?
You hearing me now?
Good evening to you, sir. How are you doing?
I'm fine. I'm just enjoying the live, listening to you guys, talking some positive things.
Yes.
I don't really have an impact right now. I ain't saying right now, but I'm just listening and learning at the same time.
Okay. All right, man. Thank you. Your Highness?
Yes, neighbor. Good night, sir. Good night to Scratchy. Good night to Harry. How is everyone on the panel doing?
Blessed night, Your Highness.
Not doing too bad at all. You're coming live out of St. Elizabeth. How is St. Elizabeth doing today?
I'm coming live to you out of Toronto, Canada, but St. Elizabeth is doing well.
I know that, sir. I know that. What's next, Your Highness, as we are looking at going into the third week of this devastation? There is all type of perceptions being formed on the ground. Some people are of the opinion that the government did not respond quickly enough. Some are saying, well, the government could not have done any better. Position the argument for us from your perspective as a teacher.
All right. Before I speak on that front, I just want to say that I spoke with a family member today in the junction area of St. Elizabeth.
Yes.
And they are saying that from yesterday, today, and they're forecasting for tomorrow as well, that the area have been under heavy rainfall.
Wow.
I am just saying that to say this. If St. Elizabeth is still having rainfall effects there, can you just imagine the continuous devastation being caused from Hurricane Melissa up until now? The rainfall is good for those who are back into the farms and doing whatever they are doing, but for those who have lost their roof and so forth and are still struggling to find place to live, it is quite alarming. Moving on from there, in reference to the question that you just raised, dear neighbor, about how the government have been positioning themselves in with the relief effort for the people that were totally devastated during Hurricane Melissa. We have said it on the line on this live, particularly day after day, night after night, whenever we're on here, that in such a time when 40% of Jamaica was totally destroyed, we have seen lots of support coming in from people all across the globe. We have seen help coming in from the entertainment industry. I'm not going to single name anyone, but we have seen help coming in from the TikTok land of people who are well known in the TikTok community. We have seen help coming from just local people in the diaspora who try to do whatever. Even myself, 4 barrels were sent down from me here in Canada just after Hurricane Melissa. They arrived last night. They were delivered because it was door-to-door delivery I made, and they were delivered. And that today, my family and those at the home were very busy packaging out to give to those affected.
Wonderful.
And that's just from me here. And I'm just saying to say that, neighbor, we in the diaspora are doing our part. People in the entertainment industry are doing their part. Now that we are doing our part, we do not expect the government of Jamaica to go into these communities again and to give out care packages. We expect now the government of Jamaica to start facilitating a greater recovery effort in not building back, but helping to alleviate some of the stress that some of these families will be enduring. Who can get a sheet of zinc can get it. Who can get a pound of nail can get it. Because some of these places need to be erected and get back up on so that people can start living. Look at it now. We're entering into the festive season here in North America, including Jamaica. I went into one supermarket on the weekend, and as I walked in through the doors of that supermarket in Brampton, Ontario here, it was Christmas carols playing. Well, I said to one of the customer service agent, it is so depressing for me, neighbor, listening to these Christmas carols and knowing what's going on in Jamaica, that people in St. Elizabeth will not be having the luxury of celebrating Christmas this year, if you kind of get what I'm saying. Because they don't have a home. They don't have the necessary tools to get back on their feet. And that's where I need the government now and the administration to come in and start seeing how well they can best facilitate some of these things that the people need. Not to necessarily, again, pack a care bag and take to Westmoreland or to St. Elizabeth or to Chilani, but get on the field now and see how well they can help some of these people that were greatly devastated to have a better living condition. I think that's where the focus should be now. I'm not telling anybody on TikTok land that it will take a day, a week, or a month. This is going to take time. Who remember when Hurricane Katrina devastated New Orleans? Remember now, New Orleans is in America, and it took them over 18 months before actual work started in rebuilding. Look, Jamaica is just an island, you know, and we're going to need the support. Andrew cannot do it. The Jamaica Labour Party cannot do it. Those who have drafted a plan or a concept of a plan cannot do it. It needs everybody to come together, work in oneness, have a holistic goal in mind, and work to ensure that that goal is reached maybe a year or a year and a half from now.
But why, Your Highness, are we not seeing greater collaboration on the political front? You and I know the answer for that, because there's too much tug and war. Because remember, you have an opposition leader who do not respect himself nor the people he's representing, and therefore we have that withdrawal of support. I remember when Melissa just destroyed Jamaica, he's saying that, he could not get an helicopter to go down or to do an aerial tour of what happened. Because the government was not, and that's Mark Golden for you. Mark Golden is not the one to work with the program. Wouldn't it be nice if on the same tour that the Prime Minister was on, he should have been on it. He should have been on the same tour. Yes. He should have been in that same helicopter, flying over St. Elizabeth, flying over Westmoreland, in unison with the Jamaica Labour Party. The government of Jamaica.
The government of Jamaica, and that would have shown the people of Jamaica what a united front looks like.
What would be a wonderful sight?
But because there is a tug of war, neighbor, there is a tug of war, Harry, there's a tug of war strategy, we do not see that being played out. We see fighting, inward fighting, outward fighting. TikTok land is fighting. People fighting against Neighbour's program. People fighting against this program, because on Neighbour's program, they said we are more left-wing than right-wing. On this program, they said they're more right-wing than left-wing. And that's what made Jamaica beautiful also, because everybody have a mind of their own.
Yeah. My brother, how do you think, what would be the positives for the Jamaican people if the opposition, even at this late stage, should say, we are going to be right up there with the government. We are going to be working with the government to make sure that our people recover. Don't you think that even at this late stage, that could help?
There is no late stage in a disaster. Anytime you get on the ground, your help is welcome.
Okay.
There's one saying in Jamaica, or it must be renowned worldwide, that no man is an island, no man stands alone.
Uh-huh.
Each man's joy is joy to me.
But
you know, exactly. You know what that tells me? Even if it's at the last minute and somebody stepped in to give a supportive hand, that hand of help is welcome. I am here on the program because I know many people listen to us over here, neighbor.
Yes.
I get many calls every day. Mark, who knows me as Mark? Well, many people will know now because I just called my name. Mark, me hear you. Mark, yeah, what? Yeah, and that is to tell a neighbor that people are listening.
Yes,
people are tuning in. People want to hear accurate information.
Yes,
people want to hear information that is credible. And I think we on this program here, Politics Plus, are doing just that. And I want to implore you and the panelists and the listeners to continue to support your program, neighbor.
Yes.
The program needs to be supported. You have an initiative coming up that you'll be going into the southwestern part of the island and you're soliciting the help that is needed.
I will be, yes.
I am imploring everyone on here tonight to get the e-transfer contact, to get the Zelle contact,
yes,
to get the cash up contact, because help is needed, and wherever possible we can help. Let us help you to help others so that this program can continue to share great insight and greater light to the listeners of Jamaica and the Jamaican diaspora at large. Again, I believe it is high time that we as a Jamaican people and as a Jamaican society to work hand in hand with each other. Let's come together this one time. Let's come together and let's pull together both Mark Golding, both Andrew Holness, and the administration, and let us continue to build Jamaica better than before. Listen, me man, Jamaica, we are little, but with Talawa. We're little, but with Talawa. And the world at large knows us. They know our potential, they know our worth, and they know our value. Hence, the world poured in on Jamaica when we were devastated. The entire world poured in to help Jamaica. And that is a beautiful thing. And that is all because we have a prime minister that represents Jamaica and the Jamaica people well on the world stage. He is, and he will go down as the GOAT, greatest of all time.
Yeah, but sir, how can we have a crisis and we are divided? We're not going to fail, man. Come on, Your Highness. We have to come together.
That's what I'm saying, neighbor. That's what I'm saying. We have to come together and work together in unison to build back a better Jamaica. Both the People's National Party, the Jamaica Labour Party, and the Jamaican diaspora at home and abroad come together and work together. That's all we need. Stop the fighting. Stop the backbiting. Stop the tear down. Stop the cuss out. Stop the yamhead calling. I hate that terminology that they come up with down there. Yamhead. What is that? Can somebody on the program kind of highlight me? What is that about? This yamhead conversation that they're having in Parliament.
What is it?
Because I think I missed something here.
Okay. I wonder what is.
Are they saying that the Speaker of the House is a dunce? And don't know how to delegate?
Hold on for me.
Fighting so early in the morning. Stop the fighting. Don't disturb me when I'm sleeping. Stop the fighting.
Stop the fighting early in the morning. I tell you. Dennis Brown says stop the fighting so early in the morning. Tremendous night here on Politics Plus. 11 minutes to go until 8 o'clock. Yamhead. So what Yamhead means, sir? Scratchy, what Yamhead mean?
I mean, neighbor, in the context, Yamhead mean one a different thing, neighbor. But in the parliament and the context where Miss Burchell used Yamhead, neighbor, she's basically saying that the speech, it was in regard to the speaker, neighbor. She's basically saying that the speaker is someone who. She's saying that the speaker is someone who, in the context of where she used it in the parliament, neighbor, Yamhead is someone who make, either say no, stupid, made hurriedly or forceful decision, neighbor, stupid decisions.
Yeah.
And if you can look at the context, neighbor, where the speaker was directly telling her that she need to Ray and was stopping her, so she's basically saying that the speaker is making all type of stupid decision, because if you look, that's what Yamhead mean in that context. But in the reality of Jamaica in the street, we have a totally different meaning again for Yamhead. You know, it's a name that mostly attached to the female gender, more than the male gender. Yes, neighbor, it's a name in the streets, neighbor. It's more attached to the female gender than the male gender, neighbor.
What it means?
Yamhead female neighbor. A Yamhead female neighbor would be considered a female neighbor who she don't have any form of, in terms of sense towards her relationship, neighbor. She might have a partner who is cheating her, and despite she know the partner is cheating on her, neighbor, she still stays her my own and this and that, you know. They tend to term those females as Yamhead, you know.
Wow, how you know that?
Listen, be bad. Strategy, I think they need to come up with a different. They need to come up with a concept of a planned strategy.
But she was totally disrespectful, though.
Let's listen to it.
It was very disrespectful.
Let me see if I can find. Listen to this. I hit this here.
You heard questions, Minister?
Yes, that is it.
Instead of make another presentation. You heard questions? Along with presentation. Can we get Yamhead? Question mark at the end.
No. What is that? Scratchy?
That's what we're trying to figure out.
Can we get Yamhead question sign? I'm telling you about it's tantrum she's showing neighbor, show straight. She disrespected the speaker if it was directed to the speaker, neighbor. Persons who might be looking outside and doing that, but if you notice, neighbor, everyone on the opposition bench laugh when she said it, neighbor.
Listen to it again.
Listen again, neighbor. Everyone on the opposition bench laugh when she said it.
James at pineapple farming. We're also proficient with respect to planting and bananas and our yams. Rival Trelawney, we want to know that you're not limiting it to seedlings, but of course the good old fertilizer to seeds, the good old fertilizer, we need to know how you're going to be getting that to us. I was in conversation with the people in Niagara and Garlands on Sunday night. Cannot make presentation, then you ask a question. Make another presentation, then you ask a question. Make another presentation, then you ask a question. How many words are in a question? Through the spring quickly. With respect, along with presentation. Can we get Yamhead? Question mark at the end. No. All right. Here's another.
I think that Ms. Burchell was being very facetious there, you know, Scratchy.
Yes, neighbor, I'm telling you, neighbor, in that context where she used it, neighbor, it means someone who hurriedly makes stupid decisions, neighbor.
Yeah,
That's what she basically saying by calling the speaker Yamhead, neighbor.
She was very, very disrespectful. And
that is what she basically saying. Someone who hurriedly makes stupid decisions. That is what she basically saying, neighbor.
I do not like that approach. I am not saying everyone will like Juliet Holness, you know. I am not saying everyone is gonna like Andrew Holness. I am not saying everyone will like Neighbour. But at the end of the day, we have to be respectful in our conversations, because whenever we speak Neighbour, we do not speak to those only in the room, but we speak to the world at large who is listening in 2025. I sometimes think that people forget that this is a technological age. that we are living in. And the moment you say something, it goes viral.
Yeah, she's just basically saying that the speaker makes stupid decisions. That's what she's basically saying, and she's totally disrespectful.
Very disrespectful.
Wow. Okay, let's give the guys online a couple of minutes, and because we have to push. Muslim, come back in. Muslim.
Yes, I'm here. Yeah, so I was wondering when what's his name, Mr. Bujibantan, willing to, you know, come up and apologize, because I realized that when them say some things to make it political, even though you don't know if you're right or wrong, your voice is very loud. But when it came out to say that, you know, Mr. Vaz, you know, send him the video of evidence to say that your goods was never touched and everything. All he did was, you know, delete his post, but he don't come out loud mouth and just say, you know, I'm wrong. He apologized to say that whatever, it wasn't on whatever side. All them do is the post and just, this is where I say that, you know, overall, it's sad to say, but when it comes to black people on a whole, I don't think there will ever be a coming together, because again, overall, I'm not saying that white people or certain people though will come together, you know, even though person will have different views, but it's all someone willing to deal with certain situation. So when you have person out there speak very loudly regarding disrespect, but when to apologize, you can't hear nothing from them, this says a lot.
We're out of time. Thank you so much for tonight. You hear?
This loneliness will
Your Highness, tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Tomorrow. God bless you. Continue to do the good work. Scratchy, take care of yourself.
What's up, Your Highness? Same to you.
Cause the rain is falling down. Will you think of me when it gets around to you?
Somebody says that yam head is a word used for low vibrational and low character people.
Well, I'm going to go back and listen to that full tape and see what Miss is saying there.
I think it was a total disrespect. It was a total disrespect to
I hope she wasn't referring to the speaker. Miss Burchell, I hope you're not referring to the speaker there. I hope so. I'm going to listen back to the tape here.
In your loving eyes,
I'll listen back to the tape, the whole tape.
my heart's reflection. You speak to me alone.
Well, we've been here since 4 o'clock, so we have done 4 hours.
Was she the one asking the government to deploy the drunkers to her community? Was that the same speaker?
No, that was Zara Burton. No, not her.
Oh, that was Zara. Okay. I can't keep up with them, neighbor. They're too much. Can't keep up with them.
Half the world away. We're trying to get into St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, Trelawney this week, and we're asking you to help us to sponsor that, okay? We'd love to get in there between Wednesday and Thursday. 876-858-9553 if you're in Jamaica and you want to help. 876-858-9553. If you're in the United States, we have a Zelle account and we have Cash App. If you're in Canada, there is e-transfer. Please get in touch with our moderator and buy a case of water or something, okay? Hey, Sonia, you're half the world away. Yep. Paul Johnson is on, taking us out of tonight's program.
Good night, neighbor. Your Highness.
Yes, sir. God bless you.
No, I'm saying good night, neighbor. Your Highness and the viewers and everyone. Have a blessed night. Tomorrow again.
Catch you tomorrow, Scratchy.
Yes, John Major, big up my boss. Tomorrow, everyone. Good night.
But here I am tonight, half the world away.
Well, still when we reach Hanover, we call you. You text us your number 876-858-9553.
Dreams feeling complete, 'cause the story can't end till I hold you waking in my heart in the final scene. Whoa, 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 whoa. Half the world away, I wanna be half the world away.
Half the world away. What a week we started out tonight, Caroline. How you doing again, moderator?
I'm doing all right, neighbor. Thank you for asking. How are you?
We're half the world away.
No, neighbor, I'm just a hour and 20 minutes away.
That's far. All right, so I'm in Kingston, and my moderator is in the United States. What a world, and what technology can do for us. We had a great program, not too bad, Caroline. Talked to a number of persons. Was nice to have that young man explaining to us that the hotels are not available for Jamaicans.
I'm not sure that happened, neighbor, because he did seem to have all his facts together. He, a lot of us in the diaspora are still watching these videos and actually not able to, or even willing to make sense of it. We choose to pay attention to what we choose to.
Yes, but as usual, Harry, very brilliant, very knowledgeable. Like that, he's able to explain the intricacies of this, especially when it relates to the financial part of it. Yeah.
Definitely, neighbor. But it's very important that people in the diaspora make an effort to know the truth before they start uttering these things. And not only that, neighbor, a lot of people who are posting all these things, these negative things on social media, it is looking really bad on the country. It is. Yeah. It really is. And they just all seem to have political agendas, whether they're willing to admit it or not. And that's unfortunate.
Yeah, and Scratchy, very, 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 very knowledgeable, stable, regular supporter here. Always nice having him.
Well, definitely. And Your Highness, we just ask them to continue to speak out, because what they're saying, they're not just only speaking facts, and they're also being very objective. And, I really appreciate that.
Do you think that we are really having a positive impact, Caroline? How much do you think we're helping the process, especially at a time like this?
Well, neighbor, I recognize that our listeners are very bright people,
Nice.
and yes, and for that reason, just the things that they speak about, the comments in the conversations they're having, it is evident, neighbor, that they appreciate this program because we do offer facts, or we do provide clarity,
Yes.
And the fact that they continue to come and join us on a daily basis, neighbor, that speak volumes for the program.
Yes, and I want them to know that we did almost 5,000 viewers tonight. Caroline, we had about 5,000 people watching the show tonight. We normally do more than that. So I suspect a lot of people are still out of electricity, internet, maybe.
Yes, definitely. Most of Jamaica is still out of electricity, hoping that this will change very soon.
Yeah, we have some very special listeners too, people like Daphne. You've met Daphne, Caroline? What a wonderful lady.
Well, we have had several conversations, neighbor.
You
Yes,
have?
she
You
is a
have?
true patriotic person.
You have spoken to her?
I have had several conversations with Daphne. She's an
Lovely.
amazing person. Yes.
Tell her hi for me.
Well, she's right there listening, neighbor. You can tell her yourself.
You know that my eyes sometimes are not. You know my eyes are not good. Eh?
Well,
you know that.
I don't know if you remember, neighbor, but yesterday was Daphne's birthday, and based on her commitment and appreciation for this program, she has decided to donate a part of her birthday gifts to us.
Which is cake?
No, neighbor. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, I don't think it's cake.
What do you say to me? That is nice. I wonder if it's cake. Yeah. So when you talk to her, ma'am, please do say hi to her for me, okay? Let her know that I appreciate her and all the others. You know, sometimes we should not start calling names because we get into trouble. You have Widex, eh?
Oh yes, definitely, neighbor. I actually met Widex yesterday in person.
Wow.
Yes.
You met Widex?
Yes.
Oh, you really?
I did.
Is he a handsome man?
Very handsome, neighbor.
Wow.
Very charming gentleman.
Oh my God. You like him?
I like him very much, neighbor.
My goodness. Wow.
He's actually a very loyal supporter to our program. Yes.
Okay. Did you say hi to him for me?
I sure did, neighbor. Did you know that, actually he is an ex-soldier. So, he has made significant contribution to the country. So there's no need to doubt his commitment and love for Jamaica.
Oh my goodness. And then you have good girl Diane. Nice girlie.
Amazing.
Uh-huh.
And we have several more neighbors, just that I don't remember their names off the top of my head.
There's a man on here that his name is Kino.
But neighbor, before you go there, we must acknowledge Kay Enriquez as well.
Yes. Oh, how could I forget that? She's in Canada. Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah, these are very nice listeners. Because, and as I said, Caroline, we should stop calling names because when we do that, we get into trouble because everyone.
I do apologize. It's just that I'm not able to remember all the names. We have Del, we have Heron. What's his first name, neighbor?
Noel, I'm worse with that. I don't even remember my own.
His new name on here now is Trev.
Trev.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. But man, that man's skin out. Can you ask him to change that name for me, please?
Well, he's actually listening.
How can a man have a name named skin out under me? You see, every time I see him, I want to say hi, and I can't call the name. So it's a challenge,
Well, neighbor, I will put a list of names together. It's just that I don't really want to call out the listeners' correct name. I'd prefer to keep their TikTok names.
Yes.
So, for those that I did not call your name, it's just because I really can't recall the TikTok names right now, but I will get it together soon.
Right. And then Caroline, we are planning a trip into the disaster area this week. How is that going in terms of assistance? Do we have enough sponsorship to do that? Donations?
Well, no, neighbor, but before I speak about sponsorship, neighbor, there are so many pictures and videos on social media that we cannot say it's so difficult to differentiate to what is AI generated, So that is the reason why we're asking you to go into these parishes and, you know, bring back pictures and videos and maybe some interviews so we can actually know the truth.
Yeah.
Because at this point, I'm not sure what to believe, you know?
Yes. Yes. So we will we be able to do it this week?
Well, not yet, neighbor. I'm still hoping that we will be able to raise some more funds so that we can fund the trip. And Kevin, thank you for being our #1 tapper.
Oh, he's a tapper?
Yes.
You're a
Kevin
big
Bennett.
dancer, Kevin?
Huh?
The big dancer.
Oh.
Well, I really hope. So listeners, do what you can. $20, $10, whatever you can. Let's see if we can go into this. We don't want to go in with our long empty hands, and so I see John Major saying that he'll sponsor the whole trip.
John Major, I'm asking you to change the status on your page because it's private. I am not able to follow you back, and I'm not able to send you any message. So if you could send me a message, then I'll be able to respond.
All right. So then, Caroline, we make that appeal to our listeners again to do what they can. If they can't do it today, tomorrow, definitely.
Yes.
Because we want to make this trip this week. All right.
Definitely. And for those who have already donated, thank you very much. This is very important so that we can get some facts, you know, neighbor.
Absolutely.
And we can not only get it for our listeners, but we can share it with others.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, as we go along, we'll post. So you follow the page. By the way, I think we have hit 30,000 followers on TikTok, you know, Caroline.
Oh, that's awesome. But you still have a long way to go. We urge all our listeners, if you have not followed us, please follow us now.
Yeah, go on the Hello Neighbor page and follow. Let's see if we can go now to 40,000. So we hit 30,000. Let's go to 40,000. And so tomorrow we will be on.